empowerment. It's the engine that drives human progress. Each of us strive to create new and better ways to reach our goals and empower others, to transform what's possible and give everyone the power to overcome limits, to give us abilities that we did not have before, with new tools that push us to create more and better ways to move forward, transforming ideas into achievements. And in that moment, when an idea is brought to life and empowers someone, somewhere, to achieve something that was not possible before, it is magical. And so today, we come together from different companies, from different countries, together as one community to share our ideas and our desire to bring them to life. We are all united by this common purpose. The ideas we conceive and build together here and around the globe could be that spark that leads us to the next leap forward, that empowers people in new ways to do more, to achieve more, to be more. Each of us holds within us that vital spark, and together we will light the way. We will ignite the future. Welcome to Ignite.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Satya Nadella.
Good morning and welcome to Ignite. It is fantastic to be here in Chicago. We have a fantastic lineup today at the Keynote and a great conference. In fact, this is the very first Ignite. And we felt in this time of change and opportunity, it was very important to bring all of our IT communities together. Because to seize this opportunity, it is going to take all of our collective skills and ingenuity to be able to take all of this technology innovation and to bridge it to true business transformation and success. That's what this Ignite is all about, and that is what IT professionals are all about. And so we felt that we wanted to come together as one community. In fact, it's the very same opportunity that is driving Microsoft's transformation. If I look at what has happened even in the last 12 months, we are changing. We have significant momentum, and that momentum comes from you all. Every business out there now is a software company, is a digital company, and so it creates an amazing opportunity for Microsoft, which is greater than ever before in terms of driving the impact of our products and technologies. That's what's in fact shaping the product innovation that you're going to hear a lot about today. It's fundamentally changing what we build, and how we deliver. It's not just about technology. It goes far beyond that. It is even the approach we take to our business. It is how we partner, how we create the flexibility that speaks to the real-world needs of our customers. That is the transformation that is afoot. That's the momentum that we have inside of Microsoft, driven by you. The source of this transformation is the enduring mission of Microsoft. It is to empower every person and every organization on the planet to achieve more. We are the only company that cares deeply about both individuals and organizations and bringing them together to achieve transformation. We're the only company that cares deeply about taking the technology that we have and making it available to every company in every vertical industry in all parts of the globe. And when we talk about empowerment, an empowerment of both people and organization, it of course has to start by empowering you all as IT professionals. In fact, that has been the thread that we've had when we talked to our business users at Convergence, when we talked to developers last week at Build, and this week here to IT professionals. It's that magic that gets created, that happens when we can harmonize the interests and the impact that comes together when you bring end users, developers, and IT professionals together. And that's what Microsoft has always stood for. That's what we as a company have always done. And we now get to do it in a new IT landscape of mobile first, cloud first. It is important when we say mobile first, cloud first, to spend a few minutes understanding not just where we are in this revolution, but more importantly, where the arc of technology is going. Because that's what we all are in business for. When we say mobile first, it is not the mobility of a single device that matters. In fact, it is the most irrelevant thing. What matters is the mobility of the experience across all of the computing devices in our life. And that only happens because the cloud enables it. When we talk about cloud first, it is the cloud backend for all of your devices, all of your applications, all of your data. And in fact, it is about adding intelligence to your experiences. So we want to have a broad sense of what a distributed cloud infrastructure is that supports the variety of workloads that we're going to create, not today, not tomorrow, but over the coming years. So that's the broad definition of mobile first, cloud first that we should start with. That's the understanding that we need to have as we drive the technology choices going forward. Every layer of our IT stack is going to be profoundly impacted. We're going to have a proliferation of devices. There are going to be more devices than people on the planet. And this is not even counting all of the sensors that are going to be running general purpose compute. That means there are going to be applications that are going to get deployed to all of these computing endpoints. These applications are both going to generate data and consume data at unprecedented levels. And all of this is going to require the distributed cloud infrastructure that we all will need to provision to support them. And of course, it's not just these tiers of technology. These tiers of technology live within a landscape or a context where things like security, privacy, regulation, data sovereignty will all matter. So this sets up, in fact, our context. It, in fact, sets up even the tension that we have as we look out to manage this changing IT landscape. We want to be able to enable our end users to have the friction-free mobile experiences, to make their own choices in some cases for their devices, but yet we need to be able to ensure the security, the management. We want to enable our business units to be able to choose the SaaS applications of their choice. And yet, we want to be able to have the compliance and control and efficiency. We, of course, are going to manage the data deluge that we are going to be faced with. We are going to have the sophisticated data lakes, data marts, data warehouses to store and process all of this information. But just because you have big data doesn't mean your organization is going to have big insights. But that's what we are really in pursuit of. We also will make choices or have to create the balance between when and how we use the public cloud, for which workloads, how do we build out the private clouds, when do we create the hybrid cloud infrastructure, because the diversity of the workloads we deal with is going to require that. And of course, all of this challenge is something that we have to do while we have all the challenges of IT spend. But therein, in this challenge, lies the opportunity for IT. We move IT from delivering information technology in our organizations to driving the innovation and transformation in our organizations. That is the theme of this conference. That's the theme of Ignite. And that, in fact, is the driver of our company's strategy. We want to be the productivity and platform company in a mobile-first, cloud-first world. We want to deliver those platforms, productivity, and business process services that you, in turn, can use to achieve your business transformation. That is the core to our strategy. And the way we are going to drive our strategy is to focus on 3 interlocking ambitions that we're going to talk about throughout this conference. The first, it is about the era of more personal computing. Second, it is about reinventing the very nature of work with productivity and business process coming together. And lastly, it is about building the intelligent cloud backend for the world's applications. These are the 3 big technology agendas we have. These are the big ambitions we as a company have. And they all interlock to create that one platform for you to be able to use to transform your business. So let's talk a little bit in depth on each one of these areas. First, more personal computing. The core vision behind more personal computing is about the notion that what matters most in our devices is the mobility of the human experience across the devices. We also want to make sure that the way the human interaction is mediated across all of these devices is done in the most natural of fashions. That is the reason why we're investing very heavily to make sure that all the various natural interface modalities, from speech to ink to touch to even holograms and mouse and keyboard, are all available depending on the context, depending on the device, depending on the use case. And in a world where we talk about more personal computing, by definition, you're using personal data. And so therefore, it is very important for us to build trust into the core of the operating system, because we want to ensure that the data is being used to benefit the user and the organization. And that's not something that's a bolt-on. You got to build that in, starting with the way you authenticate and authorize personal information. We also are creating new categories. This is not just about having great PCs, which of course Windows 10 will ensure we have. But we are also breaking new ground in terms of the categories that we want to create. The two-in-ones now have become mainstays. Tablets that can replace your laptops. You're going to see other form factors today. You're going to see a Surface Hub that is a big screen, touch screen, with ink back. You're going to see a holographic computer where vision or computer vision is the input and the output is holograms. These are new personal computing devices that are going to be part of our digital life and work. And it requires us to bring together innovation in silicon, hardware, and software together, and this is where we will have a rich ecosystem of partners as well. Perhaps the most profound change is how we think about Windows. Windows 10, for me, is not just another release of Windows. It is a new generation of Windows. And it's about Windows delivered as a service. In fact, I want to announce today a new capability which I think is going to have significant impact in the coming years in how we deliver the Windows value in the enterprise. Windows Update today has significant reach in consumer PCs, and we want to add new capabilities with Windows Update for Business, where it's going to fundamentally change how we deliver the compatibility, the security, and productivity of knowledge worker PCs and workstations. So now let's talk about the second big area of technology innovation for us. Reinventing productivity and business process. First, it is about building for dual use. We know that choices that users make around their core productivity needs when it comes to anything around communications and collaboration, this is where they don't want to have that schism between what they use at work and what they use in their life. And that's the reason why our innovation between OneDrive for Business, Skype for Business, Outlook and Exchange, all of these span both your digital life and work in dual use. And it's a very important investment for us. Equally important for us is bringing together both the communication, collaboration, and creation tools with business process. Because a fundamental way to improve productivity is to have business process in the context of your productivity tools and communication tools. And there is an amazing opportunity Microsoft has to both open up what we do as a platform and to create that convergence. Everything that we are building is going to be built for this mobile world where the mobility of the experience across devices matters, where social collaboration and co-creation is core to what we do. All of the experiences will have intelligence built into it. And you would have noticed that even in the last 12 months, we have been innovating in new categories. It's not just about Word, Excel, PowerPoint. Of course, we have those tools that are now available on every device on the planet. But it's more important that we keep on the forefront of innovation. It's new categories like Sway, and I had a chance to meet some kids in education using Sway to create interactive documents like never before. And I believe that every marketing department and every sales department is going to be creating their artifacts using Sway. What has happened with OneNote in terms of the radical change in OneNote, in terms of organizing all of the information that you have. Power BI, Cortana, and even our sales productivity solution where we brought CRM and our collaboration tools together. These are innovations that are coming to market as we execute on our vision of bringing both productivity innovation and business process innovation. Of course, one of the things that is key to us as we think about all this new innovation is to do it in ways such that you can have end users make their choices in friction-free ways, but you as IT professionals can have the compliance and governance. So right in the core of all of our services is built in all of the things that are needed from a control plane perspective for you as IT professionals. And you'll hear a lot more about that throughout today's keynote. And I'm very pleased to announce at this conference Office 2016 going into a new public preview. We're going to have Skype for Business have broadcasting features. We also are continuously advancing the state-of-the-art of Office Delve, which is this intelligence feed of Office with new capabilities around organizational analytics. And we will show you all of these as the keynote proceeds. Now let's talk about the intelligent cloud. At the core of the intelligent cloud is the back-end infrastructure that drives all of your enterprise mobility needs. Because in order to be able to have that mobility of experience, you need that cloud back-end. And the innovation in the enterprise mobility suite gives you that control plane. Driving application agility. If there is one thing that is true in our lives today, it is the agility that we need to have in terms of creation of new value, new applications. And so what we do in terms of DevOps and new workflows to create things and maintain things and manage things, that's where you need the best tooling and platforms coming together. And that's where innovation in Visual Studio Online, as well as Azure and our server infrastructure come together. Unlocking insights from big data. As I said earlier, it's not just about having all of the variety of big data infrastructure, which is important, but it's about being able to have tools like Power BI to be able to get the insights that each of us need inside of our organization. And it's also about transforming our data center so that you have the flexibility to be able to drive the choices that you make in terms of public cloud deployment, private cloud deployment, or even tiering the two together to achieve what you want to achieve. We have a huge set of announcements to make in this area at this conference. You're going to have a preview release of Windows Server and System Center 2016, which is an amazing set of server releases which enable private clouds. In fact, the Azure Stack is going to make it possible for you to have Azure in your data center, which is consistent with the public cloud Azure. SQL 2016 is perhaps the biggest breakthrough in database technology that you have ever seen. It is some fantastic technology that you're going to get a quick preview today, but in the coming months you're going to get a chance to look at what we have done in terms of creating an infinite database where you can take even a single table in SQL 2016 in your data center and stretch it to Azure without any of your applications having to change, without having any of the queries you write to SQL having to change. So it's some breakthrough technology that's now going to be embedded into SQL 2016. The Operations Management Suite is something that I'm very excited about. Just like the Enterprise Mobility Suite was able to bring that one IT control plane for everything from identity management to device management to data protection, we now have an Operations Management Suite that is going to have one consistent IT control plane for all of your virtual machines, all of your servers, irrespective of which data center they are in terms of disaster recovery backup, in terms of being able to do log analytics, server health and availability, and most importantly, orchestration. So that means you can orchestrate all of your clouds using one control plane. And lastly, since security, and especially this class of threats called ATP, is so top of mind for each of us, we are introducing an advanced threat analytics solution which will make it possible for every organization to analyze behaviorally all of the authentication logs, all of the things that are happening inside an Active Directory to detect any of these advanced persistent threats, any of the anomalous logins, and to be able to take action as an organization to isolate them and protect ourselves. So these are some of the breakthrough announcements that you're going to get. Much more information throughout this conference and in this keynote. But really, all of this technology is about business transformation. And when I think about the business transformation, it's best to talk about it in terms of customer stories. The first one I wanted to share with you is Delphi. I, in fact, distinctly remember talking to the CIO of Delphi just before they launched this service. But Delphi has been a very successful company building devices for the aftermarket in the automotive industry, in the consumer automotive industry. But now you can think of them as a consumer services company, consumer SaaS company. They have effectively built a connected car service. This service of theirs allows every smartphone to become an auto key. They also have the ability to notify you as a customer of their devices. If one of your teenagers happens to be driving your car and they're not exactly driving the way you want them to be driving, you'll get to know of it. You also get notified just before your spouse is about to come home and you want to put the finishing touches on your dinner. So think about all the kinds of things that a consumer company would do. That is the kind of innovation that every business is now doing. And that's possible because of some of the cloud technology, some of the machine learning technology, some of the analytics technologies. But ultimately, it is about the automotive industry changing. But let's take a look at another customer story. Fujitsu. Of course, Fujitsu is a storied name in technology, known for supercomputers. But what fascinated me about their transformation is what they're doing in IoT. They picked perhaps one of the oldest industries in the world, agriculture, and said, how do we transform it? And in fact, it's a fascinating story. They took an old factory of theirs, they took the clean room in that factory and used that to grow lettuce, a low potassium lettuce, which is very important for any diabetic patient. And the way they did it was fundamentally by creating a control environment, a feedback loop. So it's no longer just agriculture. It is, in fact, a system which is controlled by an Internet of Things. So they're taking that entire system and now making it a software product for agriculture. So think about it. Here's a tech company that is not only transforming themselves, but they're transforming other industries through what they're doing in terms of creating software solutions. And again, the cloud, data, analytics, machine learning are very much part of what they're doing. In another industry, which is real fun to talk about, is sports. In fact, there isn't another industry that is being so fundamentally being transformed with data and digital technology like sports. Real Madrid is an amazing brand and everybody knows about them. They have 450 million fans worldwide. And so I wanted to share this story with you, but I wanted to do that by introducing the CEO of Real Madrid, Jose Angel, to come up on stage and share his thoughts. Jose? Thank you so much for being here. So Jose, of course, Real Madrid is such a storied brand, an amazing sports team. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your organization and your journey?
Okay. First of all, it's great to be here in Chicago, which is a city with a very, very strong sport heritage. We have a similar heritage at Real Madrid. But Real Madrid is not only about sports success. It is also very unique in its social model. It's a members club owned by 90,000 people who just want to promote football through a set of values: excellence, endurance, respect to the opponent, and a culture of sacrifice and aspiration to victory. And yes, this personality has brought to the club many trophies. The club was named as the best soccer club of the 20th century. We have won 116 official trophies in 113 years of history. And just last season, we won our 10th Champions League as the best team in Europe.
Amazing. It's amazing. How has digital technology played a role? I know you're transforming Real Madrid. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, yes. We have basically three major areas of focus when we talk about technology, how technology is transforming our business. The first one is fan engagement. We just want to make sure that we can connect with the fans wherever they are. For this purpose, we have created Real Madrid app, an application for mobile devices that is going to play a key role to enrich the connection with our fans.
This is the 450 million fans, or even 1 billion fans on the game day.
Yes, exactly. The point is to provide them unique experiences and content that can also reposition their relationship with them. Technology is helping us also to improve business operations in general. In this sense, we just want to focus and to make sure that we are using insight from our fan engagement and connection with our key business partners. And this is to help drive in the business. And finally, we are equipping our team players with technologies such as Microsoft Surface and using big data analysis to help drive in the business.
That's amazing. That's amazing. It's fan engagement, your own operations with your partners, as well as player analytics, all coming together as one digital system. You're like a software company now.
Well, yes. Basically, Microsoft is helping us transform our entire club and our business, consequently, in a digital world. In the end, all the effort we're making is for this. And the industry of sports, like every industry, is being transformed by technology. And it will be crucial to our ongoing success on the pitch and around the world as we get more engagement with our fans on match day and every other day. The Real Madrid app that we are announcing today and that will be available on May 19th is just another step on that journey, both as a way to engage more deeply with our fans and also as a way to drive business results as we get more insight into those fans. But above everything, it is the old dream of bringing together a community of millions and millions of people who share a common passion and a common love for our club, which is Real Madrid.
Thank you so much for coming, and good luck next week.
Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot. Real Madrid has a very important game in the Champions League next week, and so good luck to Jose and the team. It's not just sports or automotive. Every industry is going through this. If there has been anything for me in the last year that's been the greatest source of energy for what Microsoft stands for, what we need to drive, it's been these transformation stories. It could be every company from Virginia Tech and how drug discovery is changing, or what's Carnegie Mellon doing with what they're doing across IoT in terms of energy and building, and within the buildings on the campus. What Rockwell Automation is doing in energy. So industry after industry is being transformed as we speak, and that's the real opportunity for us collectively. This is perhaps more so than ever in our history, where technology is not just adding capability, but it's changing business models. So I want to close out by orienting you to the rest of the keynote. You're going to hear from Joe Belfiore next, when he's going to come out and talk about more personal computing and how Windows 10 is going to usher in the new era of more personal computing. And then Gurdeep Singh Pall will come up and talk about how we're reinventing productivity and business process. And in fact, the interlock between what we are doing in Windows 10, Office 365, Dynamics, how do they come together to transform the very nature of work? And lastly, Brad Anderson will come and talk about how you can manage, secure all of the productivity services and the device experiences inside of your organizations, as well as the back-end infrastructure, the data infrastructure that spans clouds. These are three interlocking ambitions and technology agenda for us. And that's what we're going to focus on. But the most important thing for me is that this is only going to happen as this community of IT professionals brings it together to transform your businesses. So thank you very, very much for being at Ignite, and have a great keynote and the rest of Ignite. Thank you.
We live in a world of mobile technology, but it is not the device that is mobile. It is you.
When there is a game, when there's a training, when there is a goal, our duty is to bring that information as fast as possible to the people. Real Madrid have about 450 million fans. We're trying to give them all the feeling of being at the stadium. The Microsoft Cloud gives us the scalability to communicate exactly the content that people want to see. Microsoft Cloud allows us to establish a relationship that is more personal, is more direct with the fans. It will help people connect to their passion of living Real Madrid.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Corporate Vice President, Joe Belfiore.
Good morning! Hello everybody. It's a real pleasure for me to be here at Ignite. Of course, I'm going to talk about Windows 10, and as Satya said, one of the areas that I'm going to focus on is more personal computing. Now, I know many of you are familiar with Windows 10, and you know that Windows 10 has work in all three of these areas. It's going to support the intelligent cloud. It's going to help all of you to reinvent productivity within your businesses. But we are kind of focused on more personal computing. And today, I'm actually bringing with me a mission here to Chicago. It's a mission that I am on personally and that I'm going to try to enlist all of you into as well. My mission is to convince you and to give you the tools to go back to your companies with the belief that your end users are going to love and desire Windows 10. Windows 10 is a product that we are focused on pulling together in a way that will work great for people at home, but also work great for people in business. And I'm going to focus on the end user part of that message, and later on you'll hear Brad Anderson talk about the IT management part of that. Now, there are three main ways that we're focused on making sure that Windows 10 will be great for the end users in your business. The first, we need to make it easy for those users to move from Windows 7 or Windows XP or Windows 8 or whatever version of Windows they're running and come to Windows 10 and immediately be productive. We need to deliver a familiar user experience that has exactly the right balance between things that are where you expect them and new features and benefits that unveil themselves at the right pace with help so that you can improve your productivity as time goes by. Secondly, there's an amazing range of features in Windows 10 that deliver on the promise of more personal computing. Everything from being able to speak in natural language to Cortana and ask questions even about your business data. Being able to write with a pen or with your finger on the surface of the web in the new Microsoft Edge browser. There are many of these things. And even the security of Windows 10 takes advantage of more personal computing to make that a delightful experience. So I'm going to walk you through pretty much just demos of these three things and why end users are going to love Windows 10 in your companies. So let me come right over here and get started with a demo. So the first thing I'm going to do is begin at the beginning. And I want you to imagine all those people out there who are familiar with Windows 7 coming to their Windows 10 PC for the first time. Down here on the taskbar, they're going to find the familiar Start button, this new Edit control where they can ask anything, and then, of course, the taskbar that's familiar. When they bring up the Start menu, the key idea that we're aiming for here is the balance of familiarity with new features. And we've been doing a ton of user testing, and what you see here on the screen we think is very near the final design. It's had many tweaks lately to get the last bit of Windows 7 user familiarity. So you see right up here, the first thing we present is the most used list of apps that you've been using. And this will come forward if you do a Windows 7 upgrade. Recently added apps here are available, so when things are installed, they're very easy to find. And then common tasks like File Explorer, Settings, Power are very handy. We've also just added back the support that was in Windows 7 for jump lists within the Start menu and the taskbar, so that important UI element will be present as people expect as they move forward from Windows 7. And then, of course, over here, we have the section that's familiar to Windows 8 users, but also really easy for everyone to learn and get benefit from, which is our live tiles. And you saw we've been making some tweaks to the animations in these live tiles and so on. So right off the bat, we want people to get into the experience in a way that's familiar and natural, but then from there, have features reveal themselves that make people more productive and effective as they're using Windows 10. So now I'm going to start talking about things that begin easy and discoverable, but then branch into high productivity. So I'm going to come down here to our task view. We've added a button on the taskbar, so this is really discoverable for people. In our telemetry, we see that the use of Alt-Tab is around 5 to 8% of Windows users. Those people find it very powerful, but not that many people know it. So when I come to Task View, I can use this to switch between apps. Here I'll go to my File Explorer. Here I'll go to my Maps app. And of course, here you see, in the case of File Explorer, an older Win32 app. And in the case of Maps, a new Universal Windows app both of which behave in the same way with restore state windows and minimize, maximize. So there's nothing new for people to learn if they're coming from Windows 7. But you might have also noticed there's some great new features here too. We have multiple desktop support. So if I have a desktop where I'm working on my expense reporting spreadsheet here, and I have a desktop where I'm doing more of my sort of productivity stuff, it's handy. Now, you've seen this before. I know a lot of you are insiders, and you've been asking us for stuff, and we've been putting new stuff in. So let me show you some delightful features you might like. As power users, if you hold down Control in Windows and then right arrow, you can flip over to your other desktop. Control Windows left arrow will get you back there. Now imagine how productive this can make people. You got your 4 windows set up for your intense PowerPoint authoring on one desktop, and you can flip back and forth between these. Here's another big insider request. You want to be able to take an app and move it from one desktop to another? Well, now drag and drop works. It's very easy to grab a window, move it from one place. Thank you. There are many, many tweaks that we've been putting in builds like that, listening to feedback, in particular from folks like you, and there are more coming. We're going to really tune this to get that right balance between familiarity and productivity. Now, the next thing that I want to talk about is Cortana. You're all familiar with Cortana in general. You know that Cortana is the world's only personal digital assistant, and we're building it right into Windows 10. And today I want to show you some new things that we're working on for Cortana that can help in a business environment. Now, of course, Cortana is one of the features that we focus on for this notion of more personal computing and natural interaction, so it works with voice. And so I can even be this far from my PC. It helps that I have this big mic on. And I can ask Cortana interesting questions that just help me be more sort of productive and informed. So for example, I might say, hey Cortana, how tall is the Sears Tower?
1,729.
Thank you. Now, Cortana was especially helpful there because she knew what I was talking about, even though the name of the Sears Tower has changed to the Willer. I didn't know that. Of course, there's many, many things that I can ask, and this is an example of the intelligent cloud backing up Windows 10. And Cortana will keep getting smarter and smarter. Of course, we wanted Cortana to be good at PC tasks too, not just web queries. So I can say things like, hey Cortana, show me PowerPoint slides about the charity auction. And there we go. The indexing service on the client is able to look at local files, files in OneDrive and OneDrive for Business, and give me a unified result across all those things. Now, one of the things that we've been finding out through the Insider program is that people are asking Cortana to get help with how to use their PC. And so we've just begun teaching Cortana about things that she could be helpful in instructing people how to get more done with their PC. So I'm going to show you an example of this work in progress. Now, this is not exactly how the resulting content will look, but you'll get a sense of this scenario. Hey, Cortana, how do I project my screen?
The keyboard shortcut to project is Windows D plus key.
So again, one of these kinds of things that as we see what people are doing, we're able to tune the capability of Cortana in the service and make her smarter and better able to answer the questions that are actually getting asked. So that's a set of things that we're sort of building right into Cortana as a general feature for everybody. But one of the things I wanted to show to you all for the first time is some work that we're doing in Cortana to enable her to connect to business-specific data. And when you think about the range of things that Microsoft is working on, a smart cloud that makes productivity work different and better with more personal computing, this demo sort of outlines how these things can all come together. So we're going to switch machines because we have a PC that's configured, and you're going to actually see a slightly newer Cortana UI here. What I've done is we announced at Build last week that Cortana can connect to other applications. And Cortana's intelligence and capability can be enhanced through other applications. Well, what we have here is Cortana connected to Power BI. And this is done in an interesting way where any client PC that has Cortana, if you sign in to Azure Active Directory and are set up on Azure AD to have Power BI data, then Cortana can answer questions about your business data. And she does this in some pretty rich and interesting ways. So what we did a week or so ago, we took the then current data about all of you Ignite attendees. It wasn't complete yet, but was close. And we put it into Power BI, and now I can ask Cortana questions about all of you. So let's try this. Hey, Cortana, how many people are attending Ignite? And there you go. At the time we took the data, there were 20,000 of you. Now, actually, there's 23,000 of you now, so that data is just a little bit old. Now, that's like asking that question's like child's play, right? Like, if you're going to have an intelligent personal assistant that has this rich data, you should be able to ask some questions that start getting at the insight behind that data. Hey, Cortana, what's the number of people at Ignite by country? There we go. She found the countries that people are from and the number of them. And this one's kind of interesting because right here in the canvas, there's interactivity. So if I can, you'll notice that North America has a bigger circle than a bunch of other countries. And some of these countries, as I zoom in, they're close together and hard to see. I can act interactively right there within Cortana's canvas to get more insight about this question. We'll do a couple more. Hey, Cortana, what are the popular reasons for attending Ignite? And here you go. You all were interested in hearing about everything. That's good. We like that. And then you were interested in new products and beta products and existing products and so on. OK, one last one. Just because, if you could imagine people who are really trying to draw insights from data, they want to ask questions in different ways, slice and dice. Consider how powerful it is when you can simply ask your personal digital assistant something like, hey, Cortana, show me the average number of PCs our attendee companies have by industry. And there you go. The top industry for Ignite attendees in terms of size of PCs is the defense industry, averaging at over 20,000 PCs per company. So that's an example of bringing together an intelligent cloud, thinking about how to reinvent productivity through more personal computing and natural interactions, speech, spoken, being able to interact with Cortana right in that canvas, and an easy way to deploy it to lots and lots of people. And we love this as an example for how these things come together and why end users in your companies are going to love Windows 10. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is our new browsing experience in Windows 10, Microsoft Edge. We announced the name for Microsoft Edge at Build last week, and we've been talking about this for a while. I'm going to do a quick demo. I would encourage you to take a look at videos of some of the other demos, because I'm not going to go into depth here. But I do want to show you one sort of scenario that brings together our key end-user benefits, which are enabling people to take notes directly on the internet and share them with each other, being able to read effectively as you move from site to site, and of course, third, Cortana is built into the Edge browser to help you with your browsing tasks. So I'm going to come right down here to the familiar E icon on the taskbar and open up Microsoft Edge. And as I get into the demo, you'll notice one of the things we announced at Build last week is some performance benchmarks. Microsoft Edge is created as a universal Windows app. It's one of the many that we're building and including as part of Windows 10. And because it's a universal app, it has protections and very high performance, some of which you can read about in an article like this. But the demo that I want to do that we haven't shown before is bringing together our new reading mode capabilities with Edge browser extensions. Last week at the Build conference, we announced extension support that'll be coming this fall. And we showed a couple of those, but I'm going to show you one more here. So imagine I'm browsing the web. I'm interested in what people are talking about in Windows 10. I come across a Spanish language site. And I'm going to read this, and so I'm going to take advantage of our reading mode. I'll come right up here. The reading view icon is really handy. And when I go into reading mode, one extra special thing is going to happen. You'll notice the site is translated into English, and that's because I have the Microsoft Translator extension installed. It knows that my native language is English, and we're providing a hook in the reading mode so that extensions can be invoked and enhance your reading mode experience when you switch into reading mode. So immediately I get this content here, not just beautifully presented in a way that's easy to read, but also translated to my native language. And of course, at any time, even in reading mode, I could choose to make a web note, and then I might use a stylus or my finger to just go ahead and mark right up on the screen. I can highlight things that are interesting, and then I could come up here, clip them, and then go right up here and save or share them. So this gives you a sense of how the Microsoft Edge browser is going to help people with their reading, note-taking, and through extensions be added on all the time as developers write new code. OK, so Microsoft Edge is an example of a universal app written for Windows 10 that we're building in. And it's interesting to think about this as one of the reasons that end users are going to love Windows 10. First, because we, Microsoft, are writing a range of terrific universal apps and either building them right into Windows 10 or making them available to the store. So there's a lot of great stuff that your users will be able to get. Secondly, though, this is a platform we're investing heavily in, and it's a great opportunity for all of you to create updated apps for your businesses, taking advantage of our cloud, distributing through our store, and giving end users a great experience across a wide range of devices. So I'm going to give you a quick look at how some of these things work in the suite of apps that we're building and how they run across devices. So we have a phone and a PC on screen here at the same time, and I'm just going to flip through some apps. The first one I'm going to do is Outlook Mail. So on my phone, I've launched Outlook Mail, and on my PC, I've launched Outlook Mail. And you'll see I can scroll through the list of messages in my inbox. I'll choose this Continuum demo message on both. And you'll notice they visually look and feel very similar. If you're a user going from phone to PC, it's going to feel incredibly comfortable. And the real reason why it's so familiar from device to device is it is literally the same code. This app will come with Windows 10 on the PC, on a tablet, on a phone. It is the identical app, and so users can really smoothly move from one to another. Let me pick another example. On the phone, I'm going to open Word Preview. On the PC here, I'm going to open Word Preview. This is Word implemented as a universal app, a universal Windows app. And so you'll see here as I scroll down, I get the same presentation of my document because it is, in fact, the same code. I'm getting great quality rendering of my Word documents. I'm getting an equivalent editing experience on both. It doesn't matter whether I'm using a PC, an 8-inch tablet, a 6-inch phablet, or a 4-inch phone. The experience is the same because, in fact, it's the same code. Now, of course, not only, as I said, is the universal Windows platform for apps that we write, of course, it's a great opportunity for all of you. So let me launch here the Fabricam Home Builder. So this is an example of a line of business app that's using the Azure cloud to drive its intelligence in the back end, and then written to the universal Windows platform so that I get this consistent experience across devices. And in fact, you might be looking at that, and at first glance you say, well, those look different. Well, that's because this app is taking advantage of the automatic adaptive UI capabilities in the universal Windows platform so that when it's large, it looks like this. But when it's small, it moves into this kind of layout, which in fact, you'll notice is identical to what happens on the phone. You write the app once. It can adapt to different screen sizes and different inputs. And if you would like, you can tailor it as well. And that's the magic that enables the universal Windows platform to get a single app from a small phone to a small tablet to a medium-sized PC to a large PC to the Surface Hub to HoloLens and to the Xbox One. So it's certainly worthwhile for you all to learn about that and look into moving your apps to the universal Windows platform. Now, one of the great benefits of this kind of approach to the universal Windows platform is in delivering that mobility of experience that Satya referenced. We want end users to be able to pick up a phone device and have the same app experience that they might have on their PC. Similarly, we want people to take a single device and be able to transform it and use it in more than one way. And we call that set of features Continuum. Continuum is about being able to transform your use of a device into mobile scenarios, but give up no compromises in your use of input device or screen size. So that's a little abstract way to talk about it. Instead of being abstract, let me just give you a real demo. Now, I'm sure you've heard about this before, but I want to show you what our UI looks like now. So I'm gonna get some of my apps here up on the screen so you can see some windows. I'm using the Surface Pro 3 like a normal PC with a mouse and keyboard. All my apps work in windowed mode the way I would expect. But what I'm going to do is tear off the keyboard. And when I do, I want you to notice up on the screen, I'm going to get a little pop-up. I don't know if we're going to get this on camera here. I'm going to tear off the keyboard. I get a pop-up. Do you want to enter tablet mode? I'll say yes. And this is the continuum feature in action. My PC has now transformed into a tablet. And you'll notice a few things have changed. My apps are now showing full screen. And I can task switch between them using the task switcher. If I'm a Windows 8 user and I'm used to task switching being a swipe from the left, that still works. Similarly, we do have an action center here, which is available through a button on the taskbar or through right swipe. So if I'm a Windows 8 user used to getting to my Wi-Fi settings from a right swipe, that's still there and present. And you'll also notice when I go to the Start menu now, it expands to the full Start screen, taking advantage of all of the screen real estate. So that's Continuum on a 2-in-1 tablet. The other thing that I have here is I want you to think about how this Continuum feature enables a wide range of device form factors. This is an 8-inch tablet. It's a Lenovo ThinkPad. And in this case, it makes sense for the default usage case of the device to be in tablet mode. And you'll see this is actually a slightly more recent build where we've listened to feedback on making the default tablet start simpler. We've increased the size of these items, and we put the more dense list of things like File Explorer, Settings, Power, and so on just off to the left under this menu that you can get to by swiping around. So here's our simple tablet experience. I can use the same task switching button to switch between tasks. Here's my Excel expense reporting spreadsheet. But what I want to do is show you how we've integrated navigation among full screen apps with a common system back button. So here I am in the Maps app. This is included with Windows 10. And I'm going to expand the menu here, choose my favorites, and we're going to navigate first to New York City. You'll see the map jump to New York City. Then I'm going to use the system-wide back button to go back and change my mind and navigate instead to Tampa. So this is an example of this app integrating with the system in a simple way down there on a taskbar in a full-screen tablet UI, which is what people are accustomed to. Now, the story gets even better because this is a full PC, and it can run Win32 apps, and it can do all those things that PC users expect from full PC. So what I'm going to do to prove that is I'm going to take it over here and dock it. And when I do, you'll notice we've got it automatically switching back into PC mode. There's my Maps app. And the Maps app is now taking full advantage of the large screen size. And you'll notice when I open up this menu and go to Favorites, it gets displayed over here on the left because the app has been tailored to understand laying its UI out differently when it's up on this big screen. And similarly, if I go to Excel, there's my Excel app. I can now use that small tablet in a full, no compromises, familiar way when it's docked with a keyboard and mouse. When I'm a mobile worker, it works naturally mobily. And when I come back home and dock it, it works naturally and in a familiar way as a full PC. Thank you. Now, a big part of the reason why this works so well is that the Universal Windows platform has apps that were designed to shift and understand mouse and keyboard input, large screens, but also touch input and small screens. And because that's true, we're able to create a feature called Continuum for phones, which lets a tiny device like this little phone give the power of a PC experience when you connect it to a large screen and keyboard and mouse. So I'm going to plug this in here. This is actually a simulation. We don't have the final prototype hardware ready yet to connect to HDMI. So in this case, I've taken my phone, I've plugged it in. You can see right here it says, tap for mouse and keyboard controller. So right on that phone, I could tap and then get like a mouse pad and use the phone screen as a mouse. But I don't need to do that because I actually have a Bluetooth mouse and keyboard that's connected to the phone. And when I plugged it in, you see up here on this monitor through HDMI, I get the familiar Start menu coming from my phone. They're the same tiles on my phone in the same layout, and I can do things that will feel very PC-like, all driven by my phone. I'll launch into PowerPoint. I could go here, create a new slide. I could use the ribbon to insert a picture or other things. I get a very rich, complete editing experience. We'll come back to the Start menu. You might be wondering, well, what does Mail look like? You saw me show Mail a little earlier. When I run the Mail app on the phone using this large screen mouse and keyboard, it looks and feels exactly like the Mail app on the PC because, in fact, it's the same code. When I reply, Word is invoked. I get the familiar Word ribbon, all of this being driven from my phone. In fact, the phone keeps working. Here you can see I got a text while that was happening. Anne is asking me about this data in my expense report. I can follow the text, and right here on my phone, I'm going to press and hold, choose Copy. Copy. Come on. There we go. I've now copied that text onto the clipboard, and I can paste it right into the same Excel reporting spreadsheet. Remember you saw Excel earlier? Does it look familiar here? It should, because it's the same code, but here it is running on my phone. I'll press Control-V to paste, very familiar. And now I've updated this spreadsheet. I'll use the task switcher. You've seen that everywhere. I can switch back to email, say Done, and Control-Enter to send. All of that on a phone. Thank you. So now I've got one more topic, one last topic, one more topic, couple demos, then I'm going to wrap up. You saw when I started out, I said I was coming here with a mission to convince you that end users are going to love Windows 10 and that you could bring that message back and you could explain why that's true. Now, there's a really great thing that end users are going to love that you're going to love too, which is that we're making Windows 10 the most secure client platform we've ever delivered, the most secure client platform you can get. And you know what? Users are going to love it. They're going to love it. I know that's a crazy thing to say. They're going to love it because this is a security system that's going to smile and wink at them, take steps away, and give them a flexible way to move documents around while protecting your company's data. So let me take a look more concretely at what I mean by that. So I'm going to first do a demo of the combination of Windows Hello and Microsoft Passport. Microsoft Passport is a technology that enables the replacement of passwords. Think of Microsoft Password as a cryptographically secure credential that's stored on a per device. It enables two-factor authentication. You could have a phone and a PC serving as the two factors. But when you combine it with Windows Hello, biometrics let users serve as an authentication mechanism that's incredibly fast and easy. So on this PC, you see how it's looking around for me? I actually have the camera covered up with a black cloth. And I have to do that because this technology is so good and so fast, and by the way, it's also so secure, that as soon as I take it off, it's going to recognize my face and sign me in. Okay? Now, I want you to think about the last time you've seen an end user get delighted by a security feature. Now watch, here I go. I'm going to take the cloth off. 1, 2, 3. Done. That's it. Now that is natural interaction on a PC delivering better security. I didn't have a password I had to write down somewhere. It's not a password you have to store in your network that could get stolen. And it's going to help with the problem of data leakage, and it's going to delight end users. Now the last thing I want to show is on that topic of data leakage. And Brad Anderson's going to come up and talk about this a little bit more from your perspective and the ways that you can manage it. But I want you to get an end user perspective on it. We're building features into Windows 10 to enable enterprise data to be safe. And you might say, well, we've got BitLocker already. How are you improving this? Well, with BitLocker, the end user faces an all-or-nothing decision for the entire drive to be encrypted. And it doesn't provide for very much flexibility in the way files move around. we're solving those problems. And furthermore, we're going to give you policy to control how your enterprise data moves between applications. So I'm going to give you a few scenarios. First, imagine I'm an employee at Contoso Electronics, and I've been writing this document, our secret Contoso partnership plan. Now, because I'm at work on my work PC, when I save this, you'll notice I'm going to save it into my Documents folder. Right here, by default, there's a lock that's displayed because my default action is to save the document encrypted. We assume this is a work document, and when we save it's encrypted, in this case, it's going to be encrypted. Imagine I'm a Microsoft employee in this case. It's protected by the Microsoft authentication root. So I'll click Save, and now this file is encrypted. Now, you might have noticed in that Save As dialog, and I'm going to come back here to give you a little bit more detailed look, some of the documents here are in green because they are also encrypted, and some of them are in black. This is the system being smart enough to handle users being able to both do work-based documents, but also do personal documents in a way that's very simple and natural to manage. And in this case, I was doing this with the new Word 2016 preview, but this capability can work for all apps as well. Now, there's a whole bunch of scenarios that you expect to work in ways that are natural and will enhance security. So as a first example, let's say I have a bunch of old documents. Did an upgrade. Well, do I want these encrypted? I'm going to decide that yes, I do. I can simply right-click and encrypt those to Microsoft.com, and voila, now they're encrypted. And now you want to think about the way people will move these around. First, I might email them to someone else. And if I email one of these documents to someone else at my company who's under the same encryption authority, they'll be able to open and read the document. Secondly, I might use things like USB drives. In Windows 7, it wasn't possible to do this. But now in Windows 8, if I want to take my Contoso Electronics sales proposal, put it on a USB drive, and hand it to another employee, that employee will be able to open it if they're authorized to do so, but that USB key is useless. Think about the worst cases of data leakage being accidental lost things or documents handed over by accident. This kind of thing is going to make the right thing happen by default, so accidents are far less likely to happen. And then the last thing I want to show, I'm going to go to a SharePoint site. Imagine you're using SharePoint. Users want to download a document, so we'll go here to this Fabricam end-of-year analysis document. I'm going to download a copy, save it into my Documents directory, and when I do, you'll notice there's that lock screen. Right down there at the bottom, this document comes down and is encrypted. So what we're doing is we're making the right things happen by default. And we're giving you all the tools to set up the policies that are the right ones for individual employees within your organizations so that natural things will happen within apps that they understand. And one thing that's important, although broadly we're going to offer this kind of capability in Microsoft apps across platforms, within Windows 10, the platform itself understands this. So you can take unmodified applications, define the policy for those, and roll them out to your end users in a way that's natural and makes the right defaults happen. OK, thank you. That is my quick look at why your end users are going to love Windows 10. I'm going to now yield the stage with a last reminder to all of you that if you're not signed up as Windows Insiders, please do now. Download our builds, try them out, join the 3.7 million other people who've already done that. Thank you very much for your time. Next up will be Gurdeep Singh Pall.
Arthur C. Clarke said any sufficiently advanced technology will be ultimately indistinguishable from magic. And that's ultimately what you'll see with the cloud. My name is Wu Feng. I am a professor of computer science at Virginia Tech. My research is in efficient, parallel, and distributed computing and making it easy for people to use computing resources. I started to realize that we can use computing to empower cancer researchers to help find a cure for cancer. The big thing that the cloud enables is access to computing capability that you might not otherwise have. By taking what they're doing in a wet lab and effectively digitizing that process will be able to accelerate our ability to identify a cure for cancer. It wasn't too long ago, it would take
2 weeks to sequence and analyze a genome.
Now, they do tens or 100 genomes per day.
The cost to sequence a genome has dropped from $95 million to about $6,000.
What the cloud promises is that our ability to accelerate discovery and innovation. Whatever I can do to help compute a cure for cancer, that's what I'd like to do.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Corporate Vice President Gurdeep Singh Pall.
Good morning. It's great to be here talking to you. You heard Joe show us some more personal computing with Windows 10. It's absolutely fantastic, very, very exciting. I'm going to talk to you about reinventing productivity. Now, Satya started by saying that the world has changed. Yes, the world has changed, and it continues to change, and it's changing faster and faster. Technology is the single most important reason that the world is changing. I remember, just feels like yesterday, a little over 20 years ago, I was a developer working on building the TCP/IP protocol to work over slow networks inside Windows. And the internet had not yet become mainstream. Today, the world is very different. There's about 22,000 of you here, and I bet about 5,000 of you are tweeting right now. About maybe 400 or 500 are posting your pictures on Instagram. And yes, even as I speak, some of you are swiping right on Tinder. Everything is connected, everyone is connected, and it's all because of technology. Now, the fundamental changes that are happening in technology are really coming from increase in compute, storage density, bandwidth increase because of optics and optical and better spectrum usage, artificial intelligence. But these are having profound implications on your and my world. Businesses and industries are getting disrupted fast. You know, we had never heard of companies like Uber, Airbnb a few years ago, or even what I work on, Skype. And they came in and disrupted industries very fast. And the reason that happened is because these companies were enabled by technology, and they were not encumbered by the old technology that was in place. So they came in with the inertia of the new technology. And you know, this means that the way we work in our businesses today has to change, whether it's you or me. We have to keep up with this transformation. So it's critical for us to change how we work. It's no longer sufficient for us to be sending around attachments in email. It is no longer sufficient for us to be having meetings over audio conferencing bridges with 20 people on a call and 5 dogs barking in the background. You know, Jack Welch said this really, really well. He said, if the rate of change on the outside exceeds the rate of change on the inside, the end is near. That is so true today. In fact, as an illustration, in 1955, of the companies that were on the Fortune 500 list stayed on an average for 75 years on that list. This year, they stay on an average 15 years on that list. Now, this isn't some pedantic rhetoric that I'm just giving out to you guys. This applies to Microsoft as well. We have to keep up with that change. We have just as the way you have to. Now, while technology is the catalyst of change, the millennials are the carriers of this change. Now, the millennials, they're an interesting group to study. Now, the midpoint of the millennial era is when they were born, when they became aware, the internet was in place. Okay? Many of them owned a smartphone before they learned how to drive a car. They think different, they live different, they talk different. The other day, my son comes up and says, YOLO. I had to go Bing it. Okay? And they work different too. They work different. They work in a virtual hive. And the reason that is important to you is that by 2020, the majority of your workforce will be millennials. In fact, a couple of interesting data points. Since 2010, 10,000 millennials baby boomers hit retirement age every day in the US. 10,000 baby boomers hit retirement age every day. I was talking to the CIO of one of the largest US counties, told me that in 3 years, 62% of their workforce are going to hit retirement age. That means by the time we turn around next year, next few years, we're going to have millennials really filling our workplace. So with this advancement in technology and millennials coming into our workforce, we really have to envision a new modern workplace. So what does that look like? Well, number one, the name workplace itself is a misnomer. It's a misnomer because work is what you do. It's not where you go. People will work from wherever they are with whatever devices they have, and they'll work on their own time. That is the first thing. The second thing is that individual productivity is super important, but team productivity will be critical because it's a team of people who are accomplishing stuff, which becomes even more challenging when you consider that they're working from their own place. They're not all sitting around in a cluster of cubicles. The serial, chunky workflow that has really served us well over the last 20 years is not going to serve us well in the future. It is all about co-creation and rapid iteration. So the environment really has to support that. Information is a lot more open, so people discover things for themselves rather than having to be fed information. Finding solutions is important. Figuring out solutions may not be that important. Tapping into global expertise is very important, so the environment really has to support this. In some ways, the modern workplace, metaphorically, is like a hive being built, with many workers working independently, but in a coordinated manner, with a shared sense of goal, without requiring any direction from the queen bee. Now, at Microsoft, we consider ourselves the custodians of productivity. And as custodians of productivity, we have to be there with the right tools, with the right work environment, so that you can bring it to your businesses and you can succeed in the coming decade. There are 5 big areas that we are focused on to enable this modern productivity. Teams. Now, we have a huge focus on teams. Now, teams form quickly nowadays. They get going quickly, they collaborate heavily, and they achieve results. Teams are not something which exists over 18 months or 2 years. Sometimes teams accomplish their goals within hours, within weeks. Therefore, it should be very, very simple to create teams very, very quickly. That is why we have done a lot of work in Office 365 to allow anyone to quickly create a group in Office 365. They shouldn't have to come to you, IT, to say, create a group for me. You guys have way better things to do than drudge around in admin consoles enabling groups. So we've made groups super, super simple because a group, a digital representation of a team, is a first-class object that you can use for membership and authorization. You can send emails with them to the group. You can have folders of shared information with the group. With one click, you can start a meeting with a group. This is the work that we are really doing on Teams. Working from anywhere. Now, this is really, really important as well in the new world. Now, we are focused on the mobile experience of the user because the user is mobile. I'm sorry, the phone is not mobile. If you don't believe me, one day leave your phone on the desk and walk away and see if it moves anywhere. So it's critical that you make sure that the mobile experience of the user across devices throughout the day really happens. That's what we are focused on. Now, Windows 10 is the most productive environment ever. Nothing comes close. What you saw with Joe was absolutely fantastic. We are also providing Office and Skype on all platforms, on iOS, on Android, on iPad. Now, in the last year itself, we've had more than 100 million downloads of Office alone, once we provide it on these platforms. On 14th of February this year, yes, Valentine's Day, we hit a very important mark for Skype. 500 million downloads on Google Play with Skype. So we're really going where the users are, where your users are today. We are very, very excited for this reason about Office 2016 public preview. I'm going to ask you, all of you, to go down to the conference floor and find time to get Office 2016 public preview installed on all your devices. And please give us feedback. We want to make sure that this is a great product for your users. The third thing, very near and dear to my heart, which we are focused on, is making meetings really, really effective. Now, meetings today are not in person at the same place type of affairs. Okay? Most meetings have remote attendees. Now, these meetings aren't those audio conference bridge affairs either, the ones with 5 dogs barking in the background. The remote attendee can no longer be a second-class citizen in meetings. Almost every attendee is going to be remote. And one of the things that makes it most effective to be a remote attendee is video. We are making a huge bet on video. That is why we have brought the Skype interface onto Skype for Business. Half of all Skype calls, which is billions of minutes a day, are actually done with video. And we're bringing that same familiar experience into your work. Now, the reason video is important is because 55% of all communications is body language. I see some skepticism. If you don't believe me, try watching the Mayweather and Pacquiao game match without video. Now, not that all meetings should be about boxing, like boxing matches, but you get my point. Video remains very, very important. Now, it also cannot take 13 minutes to start a meeting. That's what it takes to get an average video call set up with some of these video conferencing gear. You want one-touch way to get into a meeting and have a high-fidelity video conversation. That's why the work that we've done with Surface Hub is very, very important, and you will see it. That's why the work that we're doing with partners like Polycom, Crestron, Smart, with Skype room systems is very, very important across a variety of price points, but a lot more affordable than any of the video conferencing gear that you might have seen in the past. And we're also taking meetings like Skype meetings, making it very, very easy to broadcast them to 10,000 people or more in case you have larger team meetings where you want to get to where anybody, anywhere, not just inside your enterprise, can join in and tune into that particular meeting. Now, meetings certainly are very, very important for productivity, but we believe that some of the emergent devices and form factors are going to fundamentally change how people collaborate as well. Just to look at one of these, can you please roll the video?
Microsoft HoloLens is a head-mounted, self-contained computer that lets you see holograms in the real world.
You get the physical model as a focus point for the team to collaborate around. And you get the hologram with the flexibility, with the ability to run quick iterations.
You'll see how we've brought in the courtyard that you suggested. You see that mouse go off the screen and into holographic space, and you're then interacting with the hologram with the mouse.
The thing that we can do for architects is really give them much higher confidence around decision making. One way we can do that is we can allow them to literally immerse themselves and see street side how the building's going to look.
Microsoft HoloLens allows you to collaborate with somebody regardless of distance, like they were there.
Hello there.
Hey, Igor, where they're trying to put this door, there's a beam behind here.
I'm looking at this beam. We're interacting with it about a problem that we can see and being able to solve that problem with all the data that we need in front of us in real time.
My gray hair says I've been doing this for a while. I've seen a lot of these new things come and go. And I expect in 5 years, we'll all be interacting with the world with this kind of technology.
Now, folks, that isn't some heavily produced video. That device is real, and it has Skype built into it. With Skype, you have the most modern experience that you can get today. So if you're still using WebEx and GoToMeeting and products from the last decade, stop doing that. You can use your money on better things. Let's talk about content co-creation. In this new world, I talked about you cannot have serialized workflow. Everything gets created, co-created, quick iterations, people working on the same documents and putting them together. In fact, that is sort of a millennial habit as well, but it is critical for how we work. We can't have attachments going back and forth between people. And that is why with Office 2016, we have made co-creation of documents just natural with Word 2016. And that is huge. Everything is saved into OneDrive. Everything is shared from OneDrive. Everything is set up without any more steps for you to co-create. So there's sort of innate collaboration built into these rich products. Last but not the least is intelligence. This is a huge and important aspect of the modern workplace. Now, in 2013, there was 4.4 zettabytes of data in the world. In 2020, there's going to be 44 zettabytes of data in the world. Okay, that's 1 million petabytes. I'm still counting the zeros. I think it's about 21 or something. That's a lot of data. That's the kind of information that can completely inundate you. And we know we can't even keep up with inundated inboxes nowadays. So how do we deal with this? So we are working very, very hard to make sure that all this data can actually be made sense of with intelligent indexing, with inferences. And that is what we are enabling with the Office Graph. The Office Graph is an intelligent fabric which will enable a whole lot of intelligent experiences for us. Now, the reason that is important is, I remember, I think it was about even 15 years ago, we used to talk a lot about, really user-friendly applications. User-friendly applications are really going to be replaced by intelligent applications, and all that is going to happen with the Office Graph. Office Delve is a great application which shows you how to bring relevant content in front of you when you need it, to find experts when you need them. Today, for the first time, we'll show you an organizational analytics feature of Delve, which we've never shown you before. So this is a really, really important point, because either the information is going to consume you, or it is going to provide a huge step in human productivity, and that's where we are investing. Now, rather than me talk more about this, I would like to invite my colleague Julia White to come and show you these 5 investment areas that we have in action. Julia?
Thanks, Gurdeep. All right. Now, Gurdeep talked about the modern way of working. I'm going to show you what that looks like using Office 365, including Skype for Business, and, of course, the awesome Surface Hub. Now, in this case, for this demo, I am a team leader, and I'm working on an important product launch of a 3D printer product. And I'm going to start my day here in Delve, that intelligent application. And underneath Delve is the Office Graph that has all the signals from my content and my actions that can serve up for me the most relevant, important information based on what I'm doing right now and what's going on around me. As I scroll down, you can see there's information from all across Office 365. But there's also information here from Salesforce, because we've extended the Office Graph now with a new API, so other people can integrate into the graph. So now as a user, I have all of the information that's most relevant to me right here in one place. Now, I see that, I told you my 3D printer project is the most important thing to me, so it's no surprise that right at the top here I have this new video that the team's created for this launch. So I'm going to go ahead and check that out. And it takes me right into the Office 365 video portal. This is the YouTube for the enterprise. I can manage all of my video content here. I handle permissions, different channels. Maybe there's a sales channel and a training channel, and just the right people have the right access. And on the back end, Azure Media Service is doing all the hard work of the video encoding and making sure it renders great on all my different devices as well. Now, this video, I don't really love this image. I think I need a little bit of different creative work. So I'm actually going to go back to Delve, and I'm going to search for someone to help me spruce up this video a little bit. So I'm going to search for someone who knows something about design. And I'll use the intelligent enterprise search with Delve. And I find this UX design group. This is that new Office 365 group experience. And I see in this group here, it's a bunch of people who've come together around design, and I can see all the content trending around them. But if I go into the profile of that group, right here, kind of a new view of this Office 365 Groups hub, I can see all the content related to the group, meetings, things in OneDrive, emails, and my notebooks even as well, and members. On this front. So it's a great single place. And I also can even see who's online right now. Now, I know Jem, and I've worked with him before, so I'm going to go ahead and click right in to see Jem. And I see that right over here it actually shows me the skills he has. It's going to UX design and video production. So hey, for all of my SharePoint people out there, hopefully you recognize this as next-gen expertise search. But this is better because it's actually auto-populated by the Office graph. So it's much more insightful, and your users don't have to do the work of completing their profile to get those insights in there. All right, now Jem's online, so I can just IM him right from here to ask him if he's willing to help me out with that great Skype for Business experience. Now, this is the new Skype for Business experience where I can video, I can voice, I can IM with anyone. And we've actually integrated the consumer network as well. So as a Skype for Business user, I can actually go out and search for people in the consumer network. Maybe I'm a doctor with a patient, or I'm interviewing employees this way as well. And you can see it's a very Skype-inspired experience. So for example, I want to say, hey, video ninja, because he's kind of a ninja, I understand. Use those awesome emoticons, and then say, need your help. Oops. There we go. So, because who doesn't like those cool emoticons? So it's a very familiar consumer experience that we've brought into the workplace, because there's millions and millions of people that Gurdeep mentioned are using the consumer experience. So it's friendly and familiar as they drop in. But on the back end, you have all of the enterprise controls, the manageability that you've expected from Link. So it's really bringing together the best of both worlds into this experience. All right, so Jem's thinking about getting back to me. So we're going to assume he's willing to help me, and we're going to just keep rolling from there. So he's going to help me. So I'm going to go ahead and move over to my 3D launch team, and I want to add him to this Office 365 group around the launch product. And you can see I can just click right over here and add him. As Gurdeep mentioned, I don't have to hassle IT with mundane tasks because you have much better things to do. But I can just add this and manage the group myself. But again, from a group perspective, I have that Skype integration, so I can do a group message here or even a group meeting with a single click. It's that simple to bring my group together. Now, speaking of meetings, I feel like I'm spending a lot of time in meetings, probably because of this product launch. But I want to go use this new experience that Gurdeep mentioned, this Delve Org Analytics, to find out what's really happening with my time and what's going on across my organization. So here, for the first time, is an early sneak peek into this new experience that will be coming to Office 365 later this year. And it might look a little different because we're going to get a lot of feedback from you and many others about what this should be before it's final. But essentially, think of it as your health tracker for your work. And I can tap into all information, again, in the Office graph, all those signals to understand my time, my interactions, and that of my team as well. And you can see I have a view of my team's interactions. I even have things like my work-life balance based on communications I'm sending out of office time. And then if I go down here, I see my meeting time, and this is kind of number of business hours spent in meetings. And man, I'm at 60%. And actually getting this insightful notification, again, based on this information in the graph, that I'm 12% more than the company average. If I click in, I can even see a trend line of how my meeting time compares to the broader organization. So great new insights. But I want to take a look at what's going on with my team as well. So I'm going to go click into this work map to get a sense of all the different connections. Now, those lines and the thickness of the lines symbolize the intensity of the interactions between these different organizations. Now, I know I'm seeing that I'm spending a lot of time in meetings. I want to go and see what's happening from a team level as well. So I'm going to go over here and pick just my meetings for the team and see what happens. See, when I do that, you see the intensity changes, but also some really insightful thing just popped. There's actually no meetings taking place between the sales team and the product team. The meetings are happening only with my team. We're the kind of the intersection between those two organizations. Well, I don't want that. That's certainly a missing connection. And we need to get the sales and the product team talking directly. Well, it turns out my next meeting is with the product team. So I can just go ahead and add the sales team to it and get that done and make that connection. So here I am in Outlook 2016, great new app. I'm going to go ahead into this launch meeting where I have the product team, and I'm going to add the sales team as well. And this can be a distribution list, or it can also be an Office 365 group, because it works across all aspects of Office 365. All right, so I've got them added, and actually you see here I have this attachment that we're going to work on during the meeting. But hopefully you notice that little cloud. It means it's not actually an attachment. This is a link out to my OneDrive for Business account, so when we go into the meeting and share this, we're all working on one version, not different attachments. All right, so before that meeting starts, I have a few minutes, so I'm going to actually go over and check out the conversation going on around that launch group. So I'm in my Outlook 2016 experience down here in groups. I can just go to that launch team, that same Office 365 group, and you see there's a conversation happening, and it actually is in a conversation way. It goes top to bottom. So I have a sense that it's not my inbox. This is actually a group conversation, and I can reply here. But I see that they're actually talking about needing to share the launch plan with our events team and whether we should do that. Well, I definitely think we should, so I'm just going to go ahead and do it while I'm in here. So I'm going to go ahead and send a new email. I'm going to send it to Bonnie, who is in the events team. And you notice she's outside my organization, but that's OK. I can share with her as well. And when I go to attach that, you see I get, with the new Office 2016 experience, my most recently used documents right there. Because that's kind of how we work. We're working on a document and we want to share it. It's the last thing we've been working on, so it makes it so easy. I don't have to go browse for it. So I'll go ahead and grab that launch plan, and you'll see again, it's not actually putting a real attachment on there. It's actually creating a link, sharing it from OneDrive for Business, and I can go ahead if I want, and I can change the permissions right here. If I want to do the old-fashioned way, I can attach a copy, but I'm not going to do that. And when I hit send, all the permissioning's handled. Bonnie has access. I don't have to go somewhere else and manage my permissions. It's all done right there, and they're all going to be working on one version. We're working in a modern way with a single click. So hopefully you see, with Office 365, this integrated experience, from a user perspective, it's truly easier and better than all those consumer cloud storage options, and you get all of the enterprise controls to manage the content on the back end. Again, the best of both worlds in that experience. All right, well, I'm going to go ahead and jump into that meeting and get started here. I'll go ahead and join from my Skype experience. And it loads it up. And I'll get dropped in right into a rich, of course, video, multi-party video experience, because as Gurdeep said, without video, you're really not getting almost half of the communication experience going on. All right. So I have my thing here. Now, I had that attachment, right? And I'm going to go ahead and load that up. And when I do that, it's going to pull that shared document from OneDrive, and it actually is launching Word Online. And it's going to do that for me. It's going to do that for all of the participants as well. And I keep my video feed here. Here's the active speaker, so I can be dialoguing while we're all in this document, doing that real-time co-auth that we've been showing you in that online experience. And again, it's not just presenting this out. We're actually all in the document, working together, doing that co-creation experience. You can see there's 4 other people editing at the same time. Now, we've been talking about this in the online experience for a while. But now I'm very excited to show you, for the first time ever, that we have taken that real-time co-auth experience and brought it to the desktop app as well. So let me go ahead and launch Word 2016 here, where we will show you for the first time how this looks just the same and just as rich in the desktop experience. So as I drop in, you see there they are. My co-authors are editing right there. There's Ben, there's Kimberly. I'm seeing pixel by pixel exactly what's happening in the document. We can really, truly do that co-creation experience, whether in desktop or online. Perfect. I'm glad you're as excited as I am about that. All right, so the launch plan's looking good. I'm going to let the team keep working on that, and I'm going to head off to my next meeting. But of course, as I'm walking to my next meeting, I want to make the most of my time, and I like to work on all my devices too, so I'm going to go ahead and grab my iPhone here to do some email on the way to the meeting. Now, we know there has been a lot of mobile email use, but there actually hasn't been a lot of email productivity on mobile devices until recently. And that's thanks to the new Outlook experiences we have across all the platforms. Here, I'll show you on the iPhone. So if I go in, and you can see that it's a rich app. I have email, I have calendar, even great attachment handling too. And I can just swipe. Maybe I want to go this way, or I've customized these swipes too, so I can change that to whatever I want to do on this side and swipe this way too. Because we know we all have very unique ways we want to manage our email, and so we let you customize this to make it most efficient for you. Again, a really powerful new app, again, on iOS, Android, and in preview on Windows 10 too. And later, Brad's actually going to show you how to manage this app, which is super important. But I see that I have this email from Ben here, and he wants me to review this sway that he created for the launch. So I'm going to go ahead and do that right here on my phone too. And Sway is a gorgeous interactive canvas for sharing your ideas. It's the newest member of the Office family. And I'm excited, as you can see and go through, it's rich, it's got the animations. I can even click through and see my different photo stacks. Really beautiful, even on a small device, but looks great on a large device as well. And very excited to announce today that Sway will be coming to the Office 365 Business and Education Service Plans next month. So all of you who have been swaying in your personal life, now you can sway at work too. All right. So now I'm in my meeting here in the conference room, and of course I'm using the amazing Surface Hub. But first, let's talk about this device. Stunning 84-inch 4K ultra high def 120 hertz multi-touch device. This is the largest one in the market. And in it is built-in cameras, mics, speakers, CPU, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, NFC. Literally all I need is a power cord, and I'm ready to go. And it's really designed from the ground up for collaboration in the room and across the world. It really lets you unlock that power of the group. And also, this is a conference room device that will actually get used because it's so easy and it's awesome. So let's talk about how simple it is. So we have the Skype integration right there. So to get started, all I have to do is join the meeting with a single touch. Everyone can do that. And let's go ahead and say, yeah, that one. And that drops us right into the view. And I'm in, and as we would in any kind of meeting, go into the video call here and a whiteboard as well.
I'm going to go and restart.
Let's try that again. All right, we're going to get the Skype meeting going. Try that one more time. Simple to reset as well, as you can see. You can do that. Perfect. We'll get going. All right, we'll try one more time here. Get our call going. Here we go. All right. And you can see, actually, you can switch the cameras across, too, depending on where you're standing. So a very natural experience. All right, so as the video loads up, I'm going to go ahead and start inking on my digital whiteboard. Again, very, very natural inking experience. And I can say, hey, for the meeting today, I want to look at the sales pipeline. And I want to look at the launch plan, or the launch deck, too. But you know what? Because it's actually a virtual whiteboard, I can change my mind, and it's very simple. So I can just go down here, and I can grab that item, and I can move it up and say, you know what? I want to talk about the launch deck first.
That's right. And of course, if we're going to do the sales pipeline, we should really get Luke in on the call.
All right. And this is how real work happens. We start talking about something when we realize the right person's not in the meeting. That's OK. It's super easy to invite them. So let me just go over here and add Luke as well, because we always have to have Luke Skywalker, too. So go jump him in and invite. Hello, Star Wars friends. May the 4th be with you. Awesome. All right. Now, of course, it's more than just whiteboarding. It's also about sharing content as well. So go ahead and why don't you pull up that launch deck so we can take a look at it. And you see it kind of connects directly with the Surface Pro, which is great. And it's not just a projection, though. It's a two-way experience. So if I go ahead and swipe, you see that it works here, but it's also actually controlling the surface over there as well. And same, so if Ben wants to go ahead and move forward, you can see that goes as well. So it's a two-way experience. But the same goes for inking as well. Again, natural experience. Maybe I want to talk about this and maybe move it over here. You see it's actually showing up on the surface. Again, that two-way experience. And same with Ben. And this could be true for anyone who's on the video experience as well. They can be interacting really naturally. We call that ink back and touch back experience. All right, so the deck looks good. Let's go ahead and switch over and look at that sales pipeline. So here I am in my CRM online experience where I can get all of my sales information, my pipeline. I can see the leads that are happening as well. But I want to do a little deeper analysis in this. So I've actually pulled this out into a Power BI dashboard so I can do some deeper analysis. And here I have my dashboard pulled up. It looks, again, simple, beautiful with touch too. Now, this gross revenue by territory, I want to know a bit more about that. So I'll go ahead and select in there and kind of get the click down, which, again, is a dashboard view. I can keep drilling deeper and deeper with Power BI. And I see here I have gross margin and I have gross revenue. What I really wish is I actually had the combination of those two things. Well, with Power BI, I can do that. So let me just go ahead and grab that chart, and I can pull it right up and lay it on top. And Power BI does the work to actually combine those two data sets, put in a new visualization of a scatter chart that actually is based on the data, the best way to visualize that information. All that simple with a single swipe on that front. Now, that's the analysis I want. And again, I can go back to my whiteboard experience. I can add some new insights as well, making it very simple. So, and then when I'm done with all this, too, I can just go ahead and I could email it right from here. I could share it back to my personal OneNote, or I could email it right from here as well. Because it's a shared device, I want to save all this back, and when I'm done with the meeting, all I have to do is hit the I'm done at the bottom, and it takes all of the information off of it, clears it off for the next meeting to come in. So I don't have to worry about information being left behind, or even erasing my whiteboard too. Well, I'm not going to say I'm done just yet, because actually I'm going to flip over and show you that we've been doing this entire presentation actually using the new Skype broadcast experience. Let's go in here. I'll flip back over here. Here, in fact, is that brand new Skype broadcast experience that Satya announced this morning. And you can see I have the video feed, I can have content, I even have social sentiment analysis with Bing analysis over here, so I can actually see the audience view and what the feedback is about the presentation. And this is the attendee experience, and they could drop in and go back in real time or forward, so maybe you came to the meeting late, you can go back and catch up. All that's totally possible. And I'll have them actually pull up the producer view on the screen too, so you can see what that looks like. But with some really simple controls, you can decide the video feed, you can decide whether it's content. And we've designed this to make it so easy that anyone can run this. So you don't have any more expensive, complex systems for doing broadcast meetings. It's just part of Skype in Office 365. And when the video is all done, I can just go and post it right back to my Office 365 video portal for people to watch later as well. So thanks, Ben. All right. So what I showed you is just one example of a product launch team being productive across the Microsoft cloud and these great hardware experiences. This truly is productivity in the cloud-first, mobile-first world. With that, back to Gurdeep.
That was great. That really is the modern workplace. You know, we are really focused on between Windows 10 and the work that's happening with Office and Skype. We focused on giving you the best experience so that you and your businesses can win in your respective areas. You've seen teams working fluidly across email, IM, video, content co-creation. You saw how we went from the phone to the Surface Hub. We talked about the mobility of the experience. You've seen how PC becomes Windows with full Windows with the continuum feature. You've seen a lot of intelligence that is baked into the experiences of tomorrow. Now, the whole point here is to make sure that you don't have to go staple together many different things, because frankly, in this environment, you can be so much more productive. It's kind of like every part designed to fit into an Aston Martin, so it gives you high performance, gives high performance for your users. Now, 10 years ago, all this would have meant a lot of work that you would have to do to set this up. But today, all that is just enabled with a click on Office 365. Now, I'm sure this is true for you as well, but I joined tech, IT, because I really wanted to work with tech. I wanted to work with shiny new gadgets. Now face it, we are not James Bond. Well, I'm not at least. But I'll tell you what we are. We are Q. We are Q in James Bond, because we get to work with the coolest gadgets, with the coolest tech. We take that to our users and we really, really empower them. And what we would like you to do is, with all these products we are showing you, we want you to take them back to your users, your workers, and make them super, super productive. Now, we've talked about the modern workplace. Brad is going to come up and talk to you how do you enable this modern workplace inside your businesses in a way that you protect your businesses and so that you can manage it for your users. Thank you very much.
We're looking for above normal snowfall.
A major storm system.
Widespread travel problems going to be a concern all throughout the day.
The promise of the cloud is that every individual and organization has unlimited access to information at any time, no matter where they are.
Our mission statement starts out with protecting lives, protecting property, enhancing people's lives. That's what we do here at AccuWeather.
Weather affects us all. The Microsoft Cloud gives our team the power to instantly deliver critical information to people all over the world whenever they need it. We get up to 10 billion data requests every day from over 200 countries and in 100 different languages. We need a system that is reliable, effective, efficient, fast for getting the information where it needs to be. The Microsoft Cloud allows us to scale up so we can handle that volume.
Having on-demand capability is absolutely crucial to scale for severe weather events when traffic may be 3 or 4 times higher than normal.
When you click for the AccuWeather forecast, we have to deliver it within 0.3 of a second. So we've been using the best and the latest technology in order to deliver the best product.
I remember a woman, and she said, the AccuWeather app woke me up in the night with a severe weather alert, and I got my family to safety, and you literally saved me from a tornado. And to us, that feels really good.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Corporate Vice President Brad Anderson.
All right. Good morning. Good morning. How you doing? Hey, it's been a great morning. We've seen what the future of end-user computing looks like and what that experience is going to be like. Imagine if you had all those tools and all those capabilities that Gurdeep and Julia just demoed in your offices today. How much more productive would they be? Well, I'm going to spend some time talking about what the future of IT looks like and answer that question that many of you asked me, which is in this mobile-first, cloud-first world, how does the enterprise architecture that we deliver have to transform? You know, every business in the world is transforming right now. We've talked about our ambitions. We've talked about our areas of focus. And the key thing to remember here and where we view on this is you are at the center of all this innovation. You are how it gets out to the users. You enable this, you empower. And so what I'm going to talk about is the work that we're doing that builds the intelligent cloud and how all this comes in together in a way that really allows IT to drive the transformation. And I'll tell you, I believe right now it's the best time ever in our history to be in IT, because it's you who are going to lead this transformation in this new world of cloud first and mobile first. Now, as we've been working on how we build the intelligent cloud, there are a set of attributes that we think are just fundamental and core to this. It's got to be trustworthy, it's got to be flexible, it's got to be integrated, and of course, it's got to be intelligent. It has to deliver insights to you on a continual basis. So let's go through each one of these one by one and talk about the innovations and the things that we're doing in the area specifically. Now, it's interesting. Security is the #1 concern in enterprises today. #1. The attacks that we've all read about have certainly elevated this conversation up in the boardrooms of every single company. And you know what's interesting? More than 75% of all these attacks come down to weak credentials or compromised identities. And these attacks are morphing, they're changing. They began with basically a world where individuals were trying to just create mischief. Then it became about creating profit. Today, the attacks that we are seeing are all about causing disruption, IP theft, and damage. And certainly as we all watched what happened with Sony, where the employees and the customers were threatened, it turned into terrorism. And so as we think about where this goes and what our users are doing, our users are working in a world that is rapidly expanding. They're working on more devices, they're using more applications, they're interacting with more people. And you know what? This is good for business. But it also comes with risk, because a compromise anywhere in that network could actually compromise a significant portion of the network. And so one of the challenges that all of us have as IT professionals is how do we create this environment that is empowering for our users? It's rich, it's engaging, it's empowering. And at the same time, balance that with the security and the protection that we're chartered with. This is a place that we've got to get the balance right. And as we think about what the modern architecture is that all of you have to have implemented, it has to focus on this specific area of balancing empowerment with security and protection. And so as we think about what your modern architecture should look like, let me describe to you what I think it looks like on endpoint enablement and on user enablement. It all begins with the devices that your users are using. From those devices, as your users go to access corporate content, that should all be governed and managed through your identity solution, which is Azure Active Directory. And with Azure Active Directory, we're enabling you to stretch that identity that you've all invested in for years with Active Directory out to the cloud. That then also gives you the way to also be able to authenticate and manage the core applications they use from us, your internal applications, from our partners. Then the Enterprise Mobility Suite comes in, and EMS gives you that way to manage all your devices, all your applications, do it in a way that is empowering for your end users, but delivering for you the security and the protection that you're chartered with. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the modern architecture for enabling your users on modern devices and giving your users that work environment they're looking for in this cloud-first, mobile-first world. Now, this is how you're going to deliver that rich, engaging experience. Let's go into details now about what we're doing to help you protect it and secure it. And we believe in a defense-in-depth model where you want to protect it in as many layers as you can, while at the same time assuming that you've been breached. And so we're going to walk through these details. But you need to protect your devices. You also need to protect your applications. Okay? The market refers to these as mobile device management, mobile application management. You have to do both, but you can't stop here. You have to protect your files, and really, MDM and MAM is all about data protection. And most importantly, you have to protect your identities. So these 4 layers of protection, device, app, files, and identity, has got to be an area of focus that you're going to spend on, and what we're going to deliver you is an integrated way to give you a view of all 4 of these. So let's spend some time drilling into each one of them. And let's start with the devices, and let's start with Windows 10. Windows 10 has been designed for the enterprise, and it's been designed for the kinds of attacks that we see today. Throughout the event, you're going to learn about capabilities in Windows 10 like Secure Boot, Device Guard, Passport, and Hello Windows. This enables you to be able to ensure that your devices are secure, and with these capabilities, you can actually eliminate the need to even have your users use passwords any longer. But you get this incredible experience now where your users get all the things that Joe showed you, with all the benefits and all of the applications and capabilities that Gurdeep and Julia showed you, and then you have a way to manage it. And so let's actually start taking a look at some of these pieces. Now, as I set up some of these demonstrations here, the first thing that I want to talk to is the fact that Windows is used in an incredible diverse set of scenarios, from your Windows phone that's being used in a personal device all the way to a device that's used on an assembly line or in an operating room. And in some of these environments, you want to have a lot of control over these devices. So let me introduce you to Windows Device, or Device Guard in Windows 10. Now, what Device Guard allows us to do is actually set policies about what software is allowed to run on a particular device. For example, you may say that only applications that come from the Windows Store are authorized to run on my device. So what you're looking at here is a Windows 7 device. And I'm going to go actually walk through a common attack that we see. I've received this email. It looks like it's from my IT department, and it's announcing there's a new expense app. When I go click on that, it looks all legit to me. Now, what I want you to watch on the right-hand side in Action Center, when I click on this download now, what's actually going to happen is there's going to be some code execute, and I want you to watch what happens on the right-hand side as this code executes. My firewall was just turned off. My anti-malware was just turned off. This device is now vulnerable. This happens in your organizations every day today. Now let's actually show you this on Windows 10. Same exact scenario. I click on Download Now, Run, watch the right-hand side. What has happened here is Windows 10 has actually come back and said, this is not code that's authorized. This is not code that's approved. This is not from an approved vendor. And it actually never allows the code to run, keeping your devices secure. That's Device Guard in Windows 10. How do you like it? Now, also coming in Windows 10, you've got a full mobile device management set of capabilities that will cover all of your devices, from your phone to that large screen that Julia showed you. And of course, all this integrates with the Enterprise Mobility Suite and Intune, as well as Config Manager. Okay, so we talked about mobile device management. Let's move up one layer and now talk about application management. And on these mobile devices, mobile application management is really about being able to separate your corporate things from personal things on these mobile devices, and then apply policy protection to your corporate assets. Now, over the last couple of months, we've been releasing updates. We've been releasing updates to all of the Office mobile applications. And so today, you've got Word, Excel, PowerPoint, OneDrive for Business, and OneNote that have all been integrated with the conditional access capabilities of the Enterprise Mobility Suite, as well as the mobile application management capabilities. Now, one of the things that has been very consistent with your feedback, you've loved what we've done in terms of providing that data leakage protection, but there's one app every single customer has asked for, and what's that app? It's Outlook. Every customer that is using these capabilities that says, when are you going to release the new Outlook that has been MAM-enabled and conditional access-enabled for the Enterprise Mobility Suite? Well, here it is. Let's take a look at it. So what you're looking at right now is I've got an iPad, and on my iPad, I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to bring up Outlook. So as I bring up Outlook here, this is just the version of Outlook that's coming through your Enterprise store. Let's see here. We're having a hard time getting it to come up here. Let's see if we can fix this, everybody. So in the back, let's see if this brings it up. Okay, well, we're going to come back to this, it looks like. You know, if in the back you can figure out why we're not being able to project it. If you want, we can switch over to the backup if you want. Okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and move on, and we're going to see if we can get back to that, or else you can bring the camera up on stage here. So let me describe to you what we're going to show you here. The Outlook application has now been updated to embed the mobile application management capabilities of Intune. And what that allows us to do is put policies that allow us to protect the data. So watch what I'm going to do here. I've got this email that has now come in into my inbox from Brian. There's a paragraph there that I actually want to be able to reuse, so I'm going to copy that. I'm now going to move over to Word. Word is also a corporate application. And when I go to do the typical things that I do, like, for example, go paste that in, you know, you're going to see that, sure enough, paste works. It's just like I would expect it to work. But now I'm going to go and I'm going to move to a personal application like Twitter. And as I go and create a new tweet here, when I go to paste, notice what happens here. When I go to paste, the paste option is never shown to me. Because what's happening is it's actually protecting the data and saying, I'm going to contain the corporate data to only be used inside of corporate applications. Now, if I go back to Outlook, I'm going to go back in and show you one of the new things that we've added. So I'm able to provide data leakage protection. But Office and all the Office mobile applications are one of these applications that get used both in my personal life as well as in my corporate life. And so what every one of you have asked us as you've started to use these capabilities is, how can you enable your users to use Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Outlook, all the mobile applications from Office in both their personal life and in their corporate life? Well, we've also updated the capabilities, the MAM capabilities of Intune, to now be multi-user aware. So let me show you what that looks like. I'm going to go here in Outlook, and I can actually now switch between my personal email and my corporate email. So I'm going to go to personal email, and when I go and create an email, and I go to paste the content, what you'll see here is paste is not allowed to happen because that's my personal email, and the data leakage protection capabilities are preventing that. But if I come back in and switch back into my corporate email and do the exact same process, I create that email, I go to paste, and what you'll see here is because it's a corporate application, I see paste, and I'm able to paste that content in. Okay? Data leakage protection with Outlook. Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. So what that gives you now is that ability to be able to have that rich, engaging Outlook experience. And your feedback on this Outlook application has been phenomenal, with quotes like this, where you have The Verge saying it's the best Gmail app. The best Gmail app is from Microsoft, and I love it. So with Microsoft, you get all the mobile applications now enabled to be participate in this data leakage protection solution, being able to separate your corporate content from your personal content. The next question you're going to have is, when is Skype for Business coming? Q3, okay? So it's coming soon. Now, I want to show you this exact same experience on a Windows 10 device, because Windows 10 has done some phenomenal work to integrate data leakage protection just natively into the operating system. So I'm working on the exact same document here that Joe showed you a couple of minutes ago. And I'm just going to copy some of this information here. I'm going to copy a sentence and show you the data leakage protection capabilities of Windows 10 in action. So I'm able to take this. I'm now going to go right into Twitter as well. And I create that tweet. And when I go to paste, look at what happens. And this error message is being worked on. But what's unique about Windows 10 is it comes back and says, listen, the operation that you're trying to do is prohibited, it's not allowed, because we don't allow sharing between personal applications or corporate applications and personal applications. But what I love about what we've done in Windows 10 is it's empowering and it's giving me guidance, it's helping me. So it says, listen, if you actually have a business need that needs to override this policy, you can click on Got It, and it'll actually allow the operation, but it'll be logged for audit purposes. And so you have this fantastic data leakage protection natively in Windows 10 that you can policy enable, but you get that right balance of empowerment with security and with protection. The other thing that's fantastic about this being shipping in the operating system is the applications, Win32 applications as well as modern and universal applications, can all participate in this DLP solution without having to be wrapped and without having to have any work done with an SDK. They all just natively work with it. Okay? The data leakage protection in Windows 10, ladies and gentlemen. All right, now I want to show you one additional kind of tool that you have in your tool belt here for application management. Now, as we get to Windows 10, we're going to encourage you to distribute your applications through the Windows Store and the integration that we'll do with tools like Config Manager. But you may have some applications, maybe were written a long time ago, and you're not going to update it, and you have applications that you've historically used remote desktop services for. What I want to give you a view here is a completely redesigned remote desktop services that's being delivered from the cloud. This is called Azure Remote App. And what this gives you is the ability to be able to upload any Windows application up into Azure and then remote it down to your users anywhere in the world. So what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to launch, this is a Windows application. This is actually the CFO dashboard from Dynamics, which is a Windows-only application. It's all touch-enabled now. You get this beautiful experience. It's all rich and alive. I can click on the pie chart and everything adjusts for me. But this gives you that tool now to be able to deliver all your Windows application to all your users anywhere in the world without building out an infrastructure and a pay-as-you-go as-go model, leveraging the global infrastructure of Azure. Okay? Highly recommend that you go check that out, Azure Remote App. So we've now talked about devices and applications. And one of the things to make sure you understand is Microsoft is the only organization in the world that can deliver you this rich, engaging experience for your content creation, your collaboration, all your communications, and have that all secured through this data leakage protection across Windows, iOS, and Android. But now let's transition to files. And really, MDM and MAM is all about data protection. And we've got a view here that data, files should actually be self-protecting, that files should actually inherently be aware of who has rights to open them and what rights they have. So let me show you how this actually works. So I'm sitting here, and I'm just going to walk through an everyday process and show you how it's been uplifted to now help the user protect. So I'm going to send an email to Bob. Okay, Bob, if you notice here, is outside of my organization, so Bob's a partner. Now, when I go to send this email, I'm going to click on this bar right here, this button in the toolbar, Share Protected. And I'm going to share this in a protected manner. So it's just right in the flow of how users do it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say Bob has viewer rights only. I want to get an email anytime Bob opens that file. And I want the ability to be able to instantly revoke access if need be. Now, when I click on Send Now, something really fascinating is happening. That metadata is now being written into the file and will now travel with the file. And you've got data that to be useful really has to travel, has to be mobile, has to be shared. But now with the fact that we can embed the access privileges into the file itself, the file becomes self-protecting. Now let's walk through and show you what it actually looks like now. So I'm going to go over to Bob's PC here. And what you'll see happen here is over on Bob's PC, I'm going to get an email. And as I get this email, it's going to give me a link to where I can open that file. And someone sent an email from the audience. You'll love it. Love it, love it, love it. You got to love technology. You got to love people in the audience. Now, for some reason, that has there we go. Just took a little time to come through. So it's come through. I'm going to go ahead and open up that document. And now what's happening when it's opening is actually verifying that I'm a valid user and that I'm actually authenticated to Azure Active Directory. If I come here and click on View Permissions, you can see that, in fact, I'm a reviewer. Everything looks fantastic. But what else happens when that file was open? It actually sent data telemetry back to the service that I can now use. So let's go back into my email. And what you're going to see here, love it. is I have this link in an email. If I click on this link, it takes us to what is new today, which is this document tracking site that allows me to actually track how the documents I share are used. So I can see here that this document was viewed seconds ago by Bob. So it's just fantastic. Let me show you a document that I shared a while ago. So if I come and take a look at this, last week I shared an early view of some of our quarterly reports. I can see here that document has been opened 40 times successfully. And if I look down here, the names all look familiar to me. I recognize those names. But somehow this individual, Brian Swan, who I've never heard of Brian before, has tried to open this document 9 times unsuccessfully. Let's see what else this gives me. I can take a look at this from a timeline view. So I can actually get a view of, the days, successful, unsuccessful, and all this is real-time information for me. I can get a view of this as a map. So I can actually see where in the world green successful opens, that red unsuccessful opens, and I can actually now drill in and actually see exactly where in the world individuals trying to access my documents are and when they tried to access it. As we think about providing data protection, this is the way it has to be. For your most secure, that most sensitive data, you want to have the file be self-protecting. And in the case where I need to revoke it, I'm actually confident that Brian's never going to be able to see the contents of that document because the document knows who's able to open it. But if for some reason I actually have the need to be able to open that document, I can come back to here, and I can just literally click on Revoke Access. And when I click on Revoke Access, when I hit Confirm, nobody else in the world will ever be able to open that document again. I retain control of the sensitive and the information within my company. Azure Remote Rights Management Services, the new capabilities, that document tracking site that went into general availability this morning. Now let's transition and talk about identities. We talked about device, app, file. Let's talk about identity for a minute. And as we talk about identity, the first thing I want to talk about here is how you've used Active Directory for years and years in your organizations. You use it to give that great single sign-on experience to your end users, but then you also use it for how you govern and manage access to all your applications. What you're looking at here today is what we call Cloud App Discovery. And what it allows us to do is go get a view of all the SaaS apps that are being used in your company by your employees. And if I were to ask you today, how many of you with confidence could tell exactly the number of SaaS apps that are used and which SaaS apps are used within your organizations today? You can do it today. You can now do it with the general availability of Cloud App Discovery. So in this environment, 452 users, or excuse me, there are 452 SaaS apps that are being used by 8,131 users. I can click into any one of these SaaS apps, see the number of users that are using it, as well as the amount of data that's being shared up and down with the application. I can then actually drill in and see a per-user view that gives me that view of every user and how much data they're sharing with these SaaS apps. Now, it's fantastic to be able to see that, but what you really want to do is you want to bring them under management. So let's show you how that works. We've done the work now to where we've integrated, right here, look at this, 2,477 SaaS apps with the Enterprise Mobility Suite and what we call Azure Active Directory Premium. And what that allows me to do is I can go bring these SaaS apps under management. So when I click, for example, here on Dropbox for Business, I can configure it for single sign-on. I can also configure it for automated user provisioning. And what that means is as a user account is created and appears in Azure Active Directory, we can automatically create the user in the SaaS apps that need to be used for business. Maybe more importantly, if that user ever leaves the organization, we can also disable their access to all the SaaS apps that they're being used in business. It's the exact same thing you've been doing with Active Directory for years, now in the world of the cloud. Now let's go a little deeper on this identity management. The other piece I want to show you here is you can also configure this for things like conditional access. And so you can actually go in and say, I'm going to require a multi-factor authentication, and the conditional access capabilities that are built into the Enterprise Mobility Suite give you that additional layer of management and security to access this. Now, one of the things about the intelligent cloud is it brings insights to you like this. Across Microsoft, we do some amazing amount of research and bring telemetry back like no other company in the world. Like, for example, our Security Response Center gets telemetry back from 4 billion devices around the world on a regular basis. We get 1 million new pieces of malware reported to us every single day. We take all that data, feed it into Azure and the machine learning capability, and now give you a set of reports that help you understand and see what is happening with the identities in your environment. So I'm going to click on reports here, and I'm just going to show you a couple of these reports, but I would encourage you to go look at these because it is amazing what you can see. This right here is my favorite report. I call it the Impossible Travel Report. And what it gives me is, using the machine learning capabilities of Azure, I can see things like John Smith logged in Chicago, and then 34 minutes later logged in North Korea. That's impossible. We know that this user account has been compromised, so I can come down here in the bottom, I can reset the password, I can challenge the user with a multi-factor authentication, but I have the ability now to get insights brought to me, what's happening with my identity, happening with these attacks. I want to give you one other view of something that's in our pre-production service today that I'll be rolling out over the next few weeks. As part of our research, we're constantly looking in kind of the darker parts of the web for things that would give us signs of what's happening. If we find any of your user accounts are up for sale, we're going to be able to surface that to you and give you an example, like Robbie's user account went up for sale on April 24th. You have identities right now up for sale on the web, and you're going to be able to do things like disable those, challenging with the multi-factor authentication, but you get the data that you need on identities to identify these attacks and prevent them before they get out of hand, like we've seen across the industry. All right, but wait, there's a little more. Everybody that has seen this has had two questions. They've said, first, how fast can I get using this? And second, can you deliver these capabilities for me to use with my on-premises Active Directory? You want to see it? OK. Last fall, we acquired this hot little startup named Aorado. What Aorado is a solution that watches your network in your environment and builds a graph of interactions between users, devices, and resources. And then in near real time, it gives you a view of what is happening. So let me walk you through this set of reports and walk you through what you're going to be able to do with this. Oh, and incidentally, this went into general preview this morning. So the first thing I see here is it creates this graph, and it says Michael normally works from 2 devices, but Michael now is working from 7 devices we've not seen yet. Michael is also accessing a set of 6 resources that are a little abnormal. Now look, Michael is a program manager in the engineering team, and all of a sudden Michael is now accessing servers, or trying to access servers in finance, in legal, and HR. Something just doesn't make sense here. Something seems to me to be wrong. So I can go take a look at the devices that Michael is actually using to try to access this content. And I can see here that these actually don't meet my naming criteria. So I'm going to go drill into one of these. And as I drill into one of these devices, it actually is going to give me a timeline view of what is happening. And I can click on this tab here called Suspicious Activities, and now scroll through and actually get a view of what has been happening. So first of all, I see here that this PC, or this device from Mike, is actually trying to remotely execute some code on a domain controller. Okay, so now my guard is way up. I know there is something wrong here. As I continue to scroll down here, I can see that 6 minutes before that, this device attempted to launch what's called a pass-the-ticket attack. Okay, now I absolutely know that there is something wrong. As I come down here even more, I can see that there was a brute force attack that happened on the network, and it looks like Michael's user account was actually compromised, and the attacker was able to guess his password. So now I see where the breach started. Michael had his username and password compromised. Now somebody is on a device authenticated as Michael, trying to access content and trying to now attack the organization. How useful will this be for you inside of your organizations? Okay. This is called Microsoft Advanced Threat Analytics. Enter general preview today. One of those things, as soon as you get back in your environments, back to your hotel rooms tonight, download this and start looking at how you can take advantage of this. It is a phenomenal way for you to help secure and protect your environment. All right, now let's talk for a little bit about a point of view specifically that we've learned over the past couple of years. As we've built these incredible services and we get this telemetry back, one thing that we've learned for sure is as we get more closely connected with you, we're able to better service you. And so we have a point of view. that will do all these things where we're protecting at the device, app, file, and identity layer. But one of the most important things that you can do to make sure your devices are more secure, more compatible, and more productive is to keep them updated with us. So we wanted to give you a view of some of the things that we're going to do differently in Windows 10 and Office 2016. And it's a pleasure to actually have the head of Windows with us today. So please give a warm welcome to Terry Myerson. He's going to give you a view of how we're going to help you here.
Hello, Ignite. So Brad talked about the changes in today's security landscape and the defenses we've built into Windows 10 to respond. But we all know the most important thing we can do to keep any device secure or to keep any business secure is to keep the devices always up to date with the latest software, including the latest security updates. At Microsoft, we take our responsibility to keep you secure very seriously. We are investigating, following up on every single reported security issue. We are continuously testing our software, the software you're running today, and the new software we're building to look for new security issues. And then when we find something, we are updating our software to give you a defense against that issue. And then proactively helping you deliver that update to all of your Windows devices. So how do these updates get deployed today to devices? In the enterprise, you're likely using update management software like System Center Config Manager or the Enterprise Mobility Suite. These systems let you choose which patches to apply to which systems in which time frame. This is a critical business process, but it's expensive and thankless. I mean, when was the last time an end user reached out to you and said, "Thank you for that critical update"? Now, with consumers, we run Windows Update. Windows Update delivers the same updates that you are distributing inside the enterprise to 858 million Windows consumers on the second Tuesday of every month. Next Tuesday, 858 million Windows devices, diverse Windows devices all across the planet, will be updated by Windows Update. Now let's take a second and discuss Android, where Google takes no responsibility to update their customers' devices, refuses to take responsibility to update their devices, leaving end users and businesses increasingly exposed every day they use an Android device. Google just ships a big pile of code and then leaves you exposed with no commitments to update your device. Well, with Windows 10, we want to improve further the way we think about consumer and enterprise updates. In the enterprise, you've been giving us a lot of feedback. For years, you've been saying you have these mission-critical devices where reliability is paramount. You want to minimize code churn to just security updates. Well, with Windows 10, we are introducing long-term servicing branches, which will give you just that. Only security updates will be integrated into the long-term servicing branches, giving you the perfect solution for devices where reliability is paramount, for those mission-critical devices inside the enterprises, industrial devices, embedded devices, it's all about reliability. And with consumers, we will also be evolving. We've talked about Windows as a service, continuously delivering Windows innovation to our Windows devices. So with Windows 10, with Windows Update, we will not just be delivering security updates, but now Windows consumers connected to Windows Update will be receiving a steady stream of innovations over time every month. Another big change, we're not going to be delivering all of the updates to all of these consumers on one day of the month. With Windows Update and Windows 10, we have distribution rings. We have this today in the Windows Insider program, where insiders get to decide, am I in the slow or the fast ring? We see that some people want the software right after it finishes our testing. They don't want to wait a second. And then we have people that are stepping back and saying, hey, work out some of those kinks. I want to make sure there's no app-compat issues. I want to make sure there's no functional issues. And this is great. We let the user choose. And Windows Update for consumers, Windows 10, they will get to choose as well which distribution ring would they like to be part of. And with this, we'll have confidence we have the highest quality patches, testing them with this incredibly broad population. But with these two approaches, we're not addressing the needs of some of the most important Windows devices. And these are end-user devices at work. People at work are seeking the same innovations that we deliver to consumers. But you have IT responsibility for those devices. Now, we take a step back and consider what the right approach is for these end-user devices at work. We also want to address some of the other issues with selective patching that takes place today with enterprise update management software. We test Windows for end users as an integrated whole. With selective patching, we sometimes have these customer-specific quality risks because not all the patches are deployed. Likewise, selective patching can introduce platform fragmentation, which creates quality risks and complications for developers, impeding innovation and causing some customer-specific issues. And updating all of these end-user systems is still a thankless and tiresome task. So with Windows 10, we need a new approach for end-user devices at work. So today, we're announcing Windows Update for Business. With Windows Update for Business, we want to give you the best of both worlds. Ongoing innovation and security updates, while also giving you IT control over the automated process. So how does this work? Well, the devices connect to Windows Update for Business. They receive the same ongoing innovation and security updates. But as an IT professional, you have control. You can decide what distribution ring is any Windows device in. I know there's some people probably in this room that say, I want to be in the fastest ring. Get me out there with the fastest consumer. At the same time, there will be new rings, specifically for enterprises, for businesses that want to be in slower rings to make sure all the kinks are worked out in any update before it gets applied to their systems. Likewise, Windows Update for Business will include maintenance windows, where you can specify for any device when it should not be updated or when it should be updated. We know there's devices that should never be updated during the day. There's devices that should never be updated at night. We know there's devices that should never be updated the last week of the quarter. As an IT professional, with Windows Update for Business, you are in control. With Windows 10, Windows Update has peer-to-peer update distribution capability, enabling the most efficient update distribution ever. We've designed this for people all over the planet. And for the enterprise, this means incredibly efficient distribution of updates to remote offices or remote sites with low bandwidth connections. You can opt into this as an IT professional for your devices. And we're going to integrate Windows Update for Business with System Center Config Manager and other update management software so you can maintain a single pane of glass to manage your business. And best of all, using Windows Update for Business to keep your end user devices current will be free for all Windows 10 Pro and Windows 10 Enterprise devices. So in the process of developing Windows Update for Business, we've been working with so many of you to get your feedback and design this new approach for the modern workplace. I thought this quote from Dorothy at Kimberly-Clark really captured the essence of what we're trying to do here. As you roll out Windows 10, start thinking about segmenting your devices. Which ones truly are mission critical, and then which ones are end user devices. And then start a pilot of Windows Update for Business. Together, as partners in the innovation of IT, let's shape this service from our intelligent cloud to meet the needs of your business. Thank you.
Thanks, Terry. I got to tell you, it's been remarkable watching the Windows 10 organization just kind of reimagine what the world looks like in this new world. Now, let's go back and let's give you a quick summary of what you saw in that kind of like 15-minute demo section. We talked about the general availability of the EMS-enabled Outlook coming in Q2, as well as the EMS-enabled Skype for Business coming in Q3. We talked about the document tracking site from Azure RMS, another one of the EMS components that is in preview today. We talked about the general availability of app discovery in the Enterprise Mobility Suite, general available today. And then we talked about the new advanced threat analytics that went into general preview today. So incredible amounts of things for you to be able to look at and see. And then Terry just announced Windows Update for Business and how that's going to integrate with the tools that many of you use today, like WSUS and Config Manager. Now, I'll tell you just an insight as one of the organizations that is working heavily with Windows 10. The team has done a phenomenal job. It's incredibly compatible. And today we are also announcing updates to System Center 2012 that allow you to be able to use Config Manager in a Windows 10 environment. So let's now transition and talk about Flexible for a minute. And in Flexible, one of the most interesting data points that I've read recently is 40% of IT spend is now happening outside of IT. It's happening in the business. So how do we enable organizations to really partner more with the business as more of this spend is happening in SaaS apps and in the public cloud? Well, the way we think about this, we think about your cloud and our cloud as one. We don't think about these things as separate. So our engineers work in a model where we ask ourselves, what can we do to harness the power of both of these? And we literally consider our cloud as your edge and your servers as our edge. Now, our point of view here, our architecture is fundamentally different from everybody else in the industry. We innovate rapidly in the public cloud, and then we deliver you all of that innovation, all of that learning, and you run the same bits inside of your data center that we run. We're one of only a handful of organizations running at hyperscale, with numbers like, for the fact, there's more than 1 million servers in the Microsoft cloud, 50 trillion storage objects, 425 million active Azure Active Directory users, and we have more than 1.4 million instances of SQL running in Azure. Now, why are these numbers important to you? You know, we talk as an industry about software-defined data center. I can tell you we live it every single day in Azure. With this kind of scale, with this kind of just incredible capacity, everything has to be automated, everything has to be driven through software. And where we are unique is we bring all of that for you to run in your data centers. Now let's talk about a couple of new products that we're announcing today and how they've benefited from this model of innovate in the cloud and deliver to all of you. We announced SQL Server 2016 this morning. The preview will be available in the summer. You're getting that same mission-critical Tier 1 scale that we deliver to all of our customers from Azure because it's the same bits. You get enhanced analytics, including our integration. There's some incredible hybrid cloud scenarios that are enabled. And of course, all of this is done with the fact that it's all secure at rest, it's all secure in transit. Everything is encrypted, but the keys all remain in your data center. Now let me give you one of my most favorite scenarios in SQL Server 2016, and this is something that I bet most of you have in your environments today. You've got an application, and in that application you've got tables with the products that you sell, your customers, and then the order history. These tables can get huge. You think about all the order history for a very active website. Well, now because it's the same bits running in our data center and in your data center, we have what is called the database stretch. And what the database stretch allows us to do is take a table and actually stretch part of that table up into the cloud. So you can take all your cold data, all the order history that you access on a very infrequent basis, and have that table now straddle multiple clouds. The only reason this is possible is because we have the same bits running in our data center that you run in your data center. Now let's talk a little bit about Windows Server and System Center. But ground that in what we're doing in Azure. So as you think about Azure, there's all the infrastructure that I'm sure you're aware of, the networking, storage, and the compute. There's a set of services like IaaS and PaaS that we deliver. And then there's all your applications, and that really is what Azure is. Now, 2 years ago, we announced that we were going to bring portions of this to your data center, and we called it the Azure Pack. And what this gave you was a consistent IaaS environment and compatibility and that great self-service experience for your IaaS environment. But you've been really clear in your feedback. You love it, but you want more. You want to be able to even take your born-in-the-cloud applications and host those in your environment. You've told us you want Azure, all of Azure, in your data centers. That's what we're announcing today, and it's called the Microsoft Azure Stack. This is literally us giving you all of Azure for you to run in your data centers. And so what this brings you is you get that great IaaS and PaaS environment in your data centers. You have incredible capabilities like a unified application model that gives you a one-click deployment experience for even the most complex multi-tier applications. And then you get that cloud-inspired infrastructure. We're giving you the same software controller that we built for our network, so the same network controller. We're giving you our load balancing. We're giving you all the storage innovations. We've published all of our designs of our servers to Open Compute. In fact, we are the largest contributor to Open Compute. All of that being delivered to you for you to be able to run in your data centers so you can literally have Azure in your data center. And closely aligned with this is Windows Server 2016 and System Center 2016. Today we released preview number 2 of Windows Server 2016. Next week you'll see the preview number 2 of System Center 2016. These have been designed to host these modern microservices applications, including containers. In the server preview today, you're actually going to see something called Nano Server. What Nano Server is just a very, very small footprint of Windows Server that is optimized for hosting that cloud infrastructure, apps, as well as containers. So let's talk for a minute about containers. Containers is a concept that was pioneered in Linux and really made popular by Docker. But what containers give you, it gives the developers the ability to create this incredibly portable application package that they can run anywhere. Devs and IT professionals love it because it just gives you this self-contained capability to be able to rapidly deploy, update, and scale applications on demand. That capability, containers for Windows Server, will ship in preview number 3 this summer. We've also done work where we've significantly enhanced our Linux management capabilities. Desired configuration management now on Linux. We've done work like in the LAMP stack where we can better manage, and of course, we're managing SQL, SharePoint, Exchange, and Office 365 better from the new System Center. Let's actually take a look at it. Give a welcome to Jeff. He's going to give you a view of Azure running in your data center.
How's everybody doing? How's everybody doing? Awesome. Well, last week at Build, Mark Rusinovich demonstrated the new cloud application model in Azure for developers. But he didn't entirely tell you everything. We kept a bunch of surprises for you this week here at Ignite. Let's take a look at the new cloud application model, this time from an IT perspective. Here you can see I'm logged into Azure. And in fact, I'm going to go take a look at one of those new cloud applications. Here's my Contoso expenses report. As you can see at a high level, this expenses application consists of some IaaS virtual machines, web app, and more. Well, if we drill in even further, whoa, take a look at all of the resources here that have been templated and are being managed as a single cloud application. You've got IaaS virtual machines, network interfaces, public IP addresses, virtual networks, a PaaS SQL database, storage account, web app, all of this managed as a single cloud application. Well, let's drill into storage real quick. And you can see that this storage can consist of blobs, tables, queues, and more. In fact, I'm going to drill into blobs, and you can see, in fact, here's the blob service endpoint. This is running in Azure, and in fact, you can see this is running in the eastern United States. Now, since this application is already been deployed, what we want to do is we want to make sure that the right people have the appropriate access. And the way to do that is through role-based access control. So let me show you exactly how we're going to do that. In fact, here, let's take a look at some of the roles that are available. You can see here we've got owners, contributors, we've got readers, we've got a variety of contributors from BizTalk to SQL to MySQL to Application Insights. Folks, think about what's really happening here. Again, I'm going to go back to this application model for a second. When you configure role-based access control, it means it's managing the entire cloud application, all of these resources. I don't have to go in here and configure permissions for virtual machines or set ACLs on files or blobs or anything. This is all being managed as a single entity. How cool is this? Now, we're just getting started though, folks. Wouldn't it be great if I could take this cloud application with all of these resources, this blob storage, this easy role-based authentication, wouldn't it be great if I could actually run this in your data center as well? Well, let me show you exactly how we would deploy that application. I'm going to switch on over here to PowerShell. Now, the first thing I want to point out is, folks, this is 4 lines of PowerShell. With these 4 lines, I can deploy that expenses application either to an Azure data center or to Azure Stack running in your data center. And in fact, in this case, you can see we've set the location variable to Chicago. That's the one difference that's telling me that this is going to Azure Stack running in your data center in Chicago. Now, I could deploy this literally with a mouse click, but this takes about a minute, which I don't have. We've actually already done the deployment. And folks, for the very first time, I present to you the Microsoft Azure Stack. Take a very good look here. Looks just like Azure, doesn't it? That's because it is. This is the Azure portal, and in fact, the background we changed to black just so we could contrast the difference between Azure Stack and Azure. But you can see here from the address bar, this is clearly not running in an Azure data center. And remember that application that I just showed you, that cloud application. Well, guess what? Let's go take a look at this in Azure Stack. In fact, we're going to go into split screen mode right now so you can see for yourself. Take a good look, folks. What do you see? You see the same IaaS virtual machines, the same network interfaces, the same public IP addresses, the same blob storage, the same PaaS SQL, the same role-based access control, both in Azure and in Azure Stack. We're giving you exactly what you asked for. We're bringing Azure to your data center. What do you think, guys? Now, so far, everything I've shown you has been from the cloud tenant standpoint. Let me show you what this looks like from the cloud admin standpoint as you manage this in your environment. You can see here I'm logged into Azure Stack, this time as the admin. Now, one of the jobs you want to do, of course, is you want to provide services to your infrastructure. And you're going to do that by creating plans. Now, plans consist of resources, services, and quotas. In fact, you can see here I've already got a bunch of plans. And in fact, let's create one together. I'm going to go in here into plans. I'm going to create a new one. And in fact, I'm sure a popular one will be IaaS. So let's do that right now. Now we're going to choose a resource group. And we are going to associate services along with that. You can see I can do networking, compute, and storage. And folks, surprise, up in Azure, we've got software load balancers, we've got network controllers, we've got a distributed firewall that's been running in Azure literally for years, running at global scale, powering some of the largest in the world, events in the world like the Sochi Olympics. We've packaged those up and put those in the Azure Stack for you, so you're getting those same software-defined networking capabilities. All very cool. Now, let's go ahead and configure some quotas for compute. In fact, I'm going to deploy this to actually both Paris and Chicago simultaneously. And I'm going to set the quotas for compute here for this plan. And in fact, I'm feeling kind of generous today. This plan's going to get 100 virtual machines with unlimited memory and unlimited CPU cores. And in just a couple of clicks, folks, we are now deploying this plan concurrently to both Paris and Chicago. Now, while that's happening, one of the things I want to do is take a look at some of the storage that we've already deployed. In fact, here's Storage Chicago. Whoops. There we go. Here is Storage Chicago. And I'm going to drill into the storage that I'm, again, being provided through Azure Stack. You can see I have my API requests for the last hour, availability, nodes, file shares, tables, queues, blobs, and more. And in fact, if I click on file share, there you can see the back end. And in case you're wondering what's backing this, it's the same scale-out file server you already know you're already deploying today. Think about what you've just seen. You've just seen the ability to deploy the same cloud application in Azure or in your data center with Azure Stack. You've seen easy role-based authentication and control. And you've seen a sophisticated templating engine for multi-resource lifecycle management. Microsoft Azure Stack, bringing Azure to your data center. Now, if you'd like to know more, Mark Russinovich and Jeffrey Snover will be doing a session right after the keynote that talks more about Azure Stack coming to your data center. Thank you very much.
All right, thanks, Jeffrey. Long time in the making. It's phenomenal capabilities. And again, we're unique in our view of giving you everything that we're running inside of our data centers. Okay, let's spend a few minutes on integrated now. And as you think about integrated, it's all about choice. And you know, 74%, that's the number of enterprises that in a recent Gartner research report stated that multi-cloud, hybrid cloud environments is going to be important to enabling business growth. So you think about your world today, it's becoming more diverse, and what we believe is that organizations will ask, all of you is going to ask IT to help bring some governance to this. So what you have to be able to do is enable your users to use any app on any OS in any cloud. This is how many of our organizations look today. You've got an existing set of investments in your data centers. More and more of your applications are running in Azure, whether you're lifting and shifting up there or whether you're consuming services like Office 365 or building new applications, as well as applications coming from other clouds like Amazon and Rackspace. What is needed is one single way that allows you to be able to manage Windows, Linux, public cloud, private cloud, Hyper-V, VMware, physical, virtual, all of that through one pane of glass. We're announcing something new this morning. An Azure-based service called the Microsoft Operations Management Suite, or OMS. And what OMS is going to deliver, it gives you that any cloud, any OS, any application, and you get orchestration, you get application availability, you get disaster recovery and backup, and you get all of that capability, again, virtual, physical, public cloud, private cloud, VMware, Hyper-V, all in one pane of glass. And it's fascinating, you know, the way you should think about this is OMS is the equivalent of EMS, but in your data centers. EMS gives you that full suite for what you need to manage and secure and protect all your endpoint devices and users on the front end. OMS gives you that in the back end. You want to take a look at OMS? All right, let's get Jeffrey back.
Thanks, Brad. Now, one of the challenges we've heard from you is how do you manage the modern data center? The modern data center probably has multiple locations, multiple cloud resources, and you somehow want to bring all of this under some management, provide analytics, so that you can run your hybrid cloud better. Well, good luck with that, because trying to correlate all of that data, bringing all of those log files together, trying to bring those in, people cobble those together, script those together, try and make this all happen. Well, if you actually get all of that accomplished, then the hard work actually begins. Because then you have to go use analytics to mine that data to find the right things to do and bring that power and efficiency to your data center. That's what the Operations Management Suite is all about. And in fact, we want you to be able to start using it this week while you're here at Ignite. You can try it for free. And in fact, you get started with 3 easy steps. Let me go ahead and show you. First of all, to get started, number 1, I'm going to determine which solution packs I want to use. In fact, I want them all. Malware assessment, system update, change tracking, automation, and more. So I'm going to add those selected solutions. Next, I'm going to connect a data source. I can connect servers individually. I can link with System Center Operations Manager, and I can also link my Azure storage account. Finally, I can add custom logs as well. For example, I really would like to be able to look through system logs as well. So I'm going to add those custom logs. And in fact, I want to be able to look and determine which ones I want to view. I want to see them all. Click Save. Now, normally this takes some time, obviously, as we collect and analyze and aggregate that data. So through the power of cooking, of course, we've actually already done that. I'm going to switch to this system. And you can see what Operations Management Suite looks like populated with data. First of all, take a look here at the overview. You can see I've got Active Directory. I've got a malware assessment, capacity planning, and much, much more here just in the overview, all already aggregated and brought to me. But more importantly, I want to be able to personalize this, customize this, and even share my own personal dashboards with people on my team. So I've got my own customized dashboard here as well. Here are the things that are near and dear to my heart. I want to look at critical alerts raised in the past 24 hours. Good news, nothing there. I want to look at CPU time. I want to look at Windows services. Actually, one thing that I do like to look at very often is the amount of change going on in specific systems. And in fact, here I can see that I've got some systems that have had 38 changes in the last 24 hours. That, to me, is something I want to take a look at, so let's drill in a little bit further. Now, take a look here. You can see I've got a list of systems, and look at where those systems are coming from. Azure, AWS, VMware, Linux, System Center. All of this being surfaced up in one location without me having to go look for this. Now you can see here, my first one has 38 changes in the last 24 hours. Now normally, right about now, you're probably thinking, okay, he's going to go RDP into that system and go trolling through log files. No, in fact, I'm going to click right here, and that information is immediately brought to me, so I can now take a look at all of those changes. And in fact, I got the power of Hadoop behind me, so for this data analytics makes this easier than ever before. I can save my most common search queries to the right-hand side, and again, share these with some of my colleagues. Another thing to point out, capacity planning. How do you know how much storage, compute, and memory you have? When are you going to run out? Well, we're using historical data, your resource utilization that's historical, to give you an idea of when you think you're going to run out and plan appropriately. So to be proactive rather than reactive. And as you saw Joe and Brad talk about, we want to make security management easy and ubiquitous. So we've got security and auditing, and you can immediately see here, I go right to the things that are most important to me. I can see my security posture, looking pretty good there. My notable issues, actually looking pretty fine there. But I can see here that under context, I got some updates that I need to apply. I've got some work to do there in terms of bringing my systems up to date. Finally, let's go on over here to alert management. When I set this up, you notice that I mentioned also this can link with System Center. Well, through alert management, it's surfacing those alerts up through System Center. And again, from Azure, from AWS, and all of these things, bringing it all together. So now I can see all of these alerts in one single location from one pane of glass. So think about what you've seen here. Think about this power. Whether you're using Azure, Amazon, Windows, Linux, VMware, System Center, Hyper-V, we're aggregating, collating that data, bringing the powerful of Hadoop insight to it to help you provide and run the most efficient hybrid cloud for your business. Thank you very much.
All right, thanks, Jeffrey. Awesome. OMS is going to be awesome. You know, I'd let you know a little secret. A year ago at TechEd, we actually gave a couple of customers access to an early preview of that. In just a couple of days at TechEd, we had more than 10,000 servers up and being managed through that early prototype. Now, one of the things that many of you have actually been tweeting this morning is, how can I get more information on all these demos? So if you go to this URL, you actually go take a look. At noon, we'll post a blog that goes through every one of those demos, the information of how we built them, where they're at, what you have to have. But you can go up there and actually get a detailed view with links that help you understand exactly how to get that running in your own environments. And of course, the intelligent cloud has to be intelligent. And throughout the entire morning, that's what we've shown you. We've shown you how we're bringing all of our learning, all of our experience, all of our data, all of our telemetry, and bringing it to you to help you in your environments. So trustworthy, flexible, integrated, and intelligent, that's what we're working on as we build the intelligent cloud. Now, I'd really encourage everyone to come back here into this room at 5 o'clock and listen to one of my favorite people, Harry Shum. Harry leads the Microsoft Research Organization, which is a global organization of some of the brightest minds across the industry. And what they look at is, you know, the long-term horizon, where technology is going to be. What's that next generation of technology look like? You're going to see some amazing demonstrations and actually see some of the most stunning and some of the most bright computer scientists that the world has ever seen. So Satya started with our ambitions. The work that we're doing as we make personal computing more personal, as we reinvent business productivity and process, and as we build the intelligent cloud. And you, IT, are in the center of that. I can tell you that every day we think about you. Every day we think about how we enable you, how we empower you. We can't even tell you how much we appreciate the opportunity to partner with you and your businesses. And that's a stewardship that we take incredibly seriously. Let's ignite the future, and let's do it together. Thank you, and have a fantastic conference.
Microsoft Ignite 2015 has begun. Attendees are making their way out of the hall, and many will be back in a few hours for the afternoon keynote, where we will look towards the next era of computing with Microsoft's Executive Vice President of Technology and Research, Harry Shum. Hello and welcome to the Microsoft Ignite keynote post-show. I am Alex Bradley, hosting live from Chicago. Coming up, we bring you highlights from the opening keynote, and we sit down with the speakers, Joe Belfiore, Gurdeep Singh Pall, and Brad Anderson. We have been receiving your questions throughout the keynote and are going to share those with our guests. It's not too late to participate, and we'll be on Twitter all week long. Simply